I was like, man, I think I got it. I want to do it. And I really wanted to do it because after Tim did it and all the other pros, because I was 16X, I was still an amateur. And I was like, man, I really want to do it because none of the pros are doing it. And so I did, man. I nutted up and I came ripping down the hill and hit it. And it was, when I landed, I was going so fast because it was downhill and the jump was huge and the landing was, it must have been as high as a house.
Daddy, Billy Griggs on the show, bro.
All right, we got Hall of Famer Billy Griggs.
Big time.
Billy, yeah, I'm excited, man. I was Billy, I met you in 1992, and there's no way you're going to remember that, dude, because we were both younger and we both had all our hair. And yeah, check it out, dude. That's from the 1992 ABA Grand.
Oh.
Not ABA.
Oh, man. How about
Nationals. 1992 Summer Nationals. That's crazy.
Summer National. Right on.
I don't know if you can see that.
Good times.
And then it was cool because while I was there, I pulled this out of a magazine and you signed it.
Right on. I feel like that shot is maybe was in the Haro catalog too.
It actually was. It was it was in BMX Action, but it was part of the Haro catalog.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Right on.
It was funny because I'm at this race. It's in Sunol, California. And I wasn't actively racing that much in 93. I was racing here and there. But I've always been a massive fan. So I always followed the sport. And I knew that the National was going to hit Sunol. And I was still living with my parents at the time, and they live in Sunol. So I'm like, there's no way I can skip this race. It's in my backyard. So I went to the race kind of off the couch, man. I wasn't really prepared to race. But I had such a great time, man, because all the big guys were there, including you. So it was really, really awesome. And the girl I was with at the time, I go, that's Billy Griggs. That's Billy Griggs. And I go, this is him in the magazine. I was showing her the magazine. And she goes, go get his autograph. And I go, man, that's what kids do. I'm like 22. She goes, go get his autograph, right? So I'm like, shit, I'm going to go get his autograph. And you just finished one of your motos. You just beat Charles Towns under the line. You were winded. And I ran up to you and I'm like, Billy, man, you're one of my favorite racers, dude. And would you sign this? And you're like, yeah, man, of course. You signed it. And then my girlfriend at the time, she had a little 110 camera. She goes, take a picture with him. And I go, at that time, selfies weren't really a thing, So I was like,
sure.
We take a photo, And you're like, yeah, you want to sit on my bike? Dude, I was so scared and intimidated. I was like, no, I don't want to sit on your bike.
Hey, Danny, tell the truth. Did you just frame that picture for the podcast? No, you already have it framed.
No, and here's the proof, man. This is a metal frame. Look how old that shit is, dude. It used to be gold, and now it's kind of
it's kind of. That'd be funny if you framed it just for the podcast.
No, I have in my garage where all my trophies and all my BMX stuff is. A lot of the photos and stuff that I saved are hanging in there. So I have that one. This one right here of Billy I got it right next to the one I met Tommy Brackens. So I'm trying to print the photos, and I need to catch up on that. Actually, I have a lot more that I wanted to print, but that was a super cool moment. And so that's just going to lead to a bunch of questions, Billy. I'm going to have a lot of this one, yeah.
Right on. Sunol, I sort of remember Sunol. I remember Sunol, and I remember Napa, and I can't remember which one of those nationals it was, but I got hay fever so bad, and I did horrible on Saturday, and then I went to like a drugstore and got a bunch of Claritin or whatever it was, and then the next day I was so jacked up on Claritin, I was like hauling ass. I had no idea. I kind of like stumbled upon a little bit of somewhat of a PED, if you will, back then. Pseudoepinephrine or whatever the hell it is, and but I mean, the stuff worked. I mean, I was dry as could be. Everything. I took too much, and like I couldn't drink enough. My nose was, it was horrible. I went into the exact opposite scenario of what I was in Saturday. But I had some legs under me on Sunday compared to Saturday from that. But
that might have been Sunday then, because you were hauling ass. You were leading all your motos.
Yeah, might have been.
Newel is surrounded by it was summertime, so everything was dry, and Newel's like surrounded by hills and it's near Livermore, California.
Right.
And so I was super starstruck that day because I was kind of in the back end of my racing at that time. I came in 98, but 93 was probably, I took a long break till 98 again. But that was like my last national at that time. And I was like, oh, this is awesome. It's in the backyard, and you were killing it, man. And I got to say, dude, these colors on this kit are super dope, dude. I love those Haro colors. That's one of my favorite kits right there.
That was one of my favorites. We were wearing in I think I did in 92 as well, but in 91, they had the blue uniform too. And I would wear the blue one day and the black one the other. And then I got to a point where I would get, because racers are not superstitious at all, but I got into this, point of time where I had been doing better in the black uniform just because I liked the way it looked better. And I think in my head, I just felt like I was going to be faster if I wore the black uniform. And I think by 92, I was done wearing the blue one altogether. I just pretty much wore the black one all the time. The Troy Lee helmet I had was painted to match the black uniform. It was really, Haro was known for that, right? Bob did the uniform still. Haro was still actually Haro back then. And, Bob was so good at uniforms and bike graphics and things, being the artist that he is. And, that was a pretty great uniform. In fact, the last year that I rode for Redline, when we had the pink uniform, that whole thing came about in a conversation about how good the Haro uniforms were. And let's try to make our uniform a little bit more like theirs, a little more sign of the times, more, current trendy colors. And so the pink worked, and, we did that. And then, ironically, the next year I was riding for Haro. So no more, I got to wear the real deal uniform.
What's weird, Billy, I'm going to ask you a bunch of dumb questions because we're not former pros, so we're more fan based on this podcast. So I'm going to tell you one kit that was badass. And this is one of my favorite photos of all time, man. It's you're on BMX Action cover. You're on factory Redline. You got the jerseys red, the helmet's black, the lightning bolts. I think you had black Vans on. You had the Haro pants with the chevrons. You're totally cropped up with your foot out. Yeah. That, man, Kevin, we have to find that photo. I should have looked it up. That is super iconic. And that kit was sick. I love that one too, man.
That was my favorite one, really. Especially at the time. So that photo, that's a very special one to me for a different reason. It's my very first BMX Action cover. And that was my very first race on Redline. That was the USA BMX, if you remember that. Small, short up. I'm sorry, what did I say? USB. USA BMX, that's what we have now. USB was United States Bicycle Racing or something, but they were an upstart sanction that USBA, that's what it was. They were an upstart sanction that came in and tried to, do battle with the big guys, and that was their grand national. Was in Texas. I forget exactly where, but little impromptu sort of before the mains or maybe at the end of practice or something, little photo shoot started happening, and that one of those photos made it for the cover. And that Redline uniform was, that uniform was weird because they never wore Haro pants, but the Haro pants were a sample that they gave me when I got on the team, because they didn't really have the new uniform really dialed in yet. And by the time we got into 86, the uniform completely changed to the thing that we know from 86 to like 89.
Yeah.
But that all red jersey, one of my absolute favorites.
Okay, I got another one.
So.
These are all coming off the top of my head, and I should have looked up the images, but there's a shot of you in BMX action. You're on Redline, but you're all white. You know, you got the whole white kit on, and your number plate, I think it said Lisa on it or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's been around. That photo in BMX action is around quite a bit. Anyway, sorry. What's the question about it? Who's Lisa?
Well, I'm just no, I wasn't really quite. I just remembered
okay.
I want to know who Lisa is, dude.
So Lisa was my girlfriend at the time, and not that there was any real serious girlfriend for me at that point, but she was my senior prom date. She's present in the photo of me jumping over the mini truck.
Nice.
And if you remember back in the day, Lisa and the Cult Jam.
Yeah.
So that was the three Lisas on there. Was I'm gonna do one more Lisa. It was just this total inside running joke with Lisa and the Cult Jam. And she liked that. She liked that music, and it sounded good in the mini truck, and whatever. And so I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do you one better than that. And I put three Lisas on my plate, and the shit that a 17-year-old kid will do, for his prom date.
Hey, so that now is immortalized forever. So she can go, I was with this guy when I went to my senior prom, and he put me on his number plate. He was famous. Bicycle there, and there's that photo right there. Yeah. But the thing about that picture, Billy, is that one of the things that I always loved about you is how stylish you were, and how dialed in your bike was, how dialed in your uniform was. It was like I was trying to copy you like all day long. Like, oh, Billy's got lightning bolts on his helmet. I got to get lightning bolt. Everything you did, I was trying to copy it. You only wore red bands, black bands, or white bands. I'm like, no, Billy only wears the red ones, black ones. I was so fanboy, dude. So
he's not bullshitting, dude. He's told me this a couple times, dude.
Yeah. There's a lot.
I think at the time, I think that I really got interested when I got on Redline and really presenting myself and my uniform and everything as dialed as could be. Earlier on CW and Schwinn and even on Mongoose a little bit, I think I cared some. But growing up, my dad was an owner-operator truck driver, and he was in the furniture moving business. And when I was a kid, I would go on the road with him in the summer times, and I would interact with the people that were trusting him with their whole house of furniture in his truck. And what he would do to make those people feel good was like he would like have them come out and look inside the truck and look at the truck, and just the customer service aspect of that specific form of truck driving it's really necessary to really have the people feel confident in the person that's taking their life across the country. And so I learned pretty early about customer service and professionalism and all of that stuff. And so I just, that when I got on Redline, it was getting, I wasn't pro the day I got on Redline, but I only raced for Redline for like a year as an amateur, and then I turned pro. Mm-hmm. And so I was already building towards presenting that professionalism, and that followed me through my whole career. And I mean, it still does today with everything I do. I mean, I'm very specific and peculiar about things, and but at the end of the day, I just like things a certain way, and I feel better about it. We even just talking about the Haro uniform, that was the uniform I liked the best. I just kept wearing it, and so yeah. I mean, I really appreciate that people notice and that you're bringing it up, because it's important to me that professionalism and that presentation of representing your sponsors, made an impact for all the effort that I put into it.
Yeah, it's the thing is, Billy, is like when you're looking at photos in a magazine, if I was a BMX photographer, I would be leaning towards those guys that put themselves together because it just makes for better photos. So if you go back and you think about that Lisa one, we're just going to call it the Lisa photo.
Sure.
Hey, that's the name of the episode.
There you go. So Billy's got this body English on the bike that's like he's tucked, and he's at the position that he's on the bike made for awesome photos, and it complemented the fact that his bike was totally tricked out, his uniform was dialed in. So I think that's what made you so appealing visually to BMX fans, and that's why you popped up in magazines. Like, since I was like, I don't know, I'm young, a little younger than you, but as soon as I picked up BMX action, you were in there somewhere. Have you ever?
I want to talk about Super BMX, man.
Well, it was great. There were so many magazines, and I'll point out that I was a BMX Plus test rider for a long time, and doing all of those photo shoots with John Carr for BMX Plus, I learned so much about how to be a good subject, and that followed me into my personal racing career as well. And even today, like I at Razor, we have this new e-moto brand called Stage 2, and people still call them Surons, but there's multiple brands out there. But so you know what I'm talking about. And I never get to do any of the like media stuff and riding the bikes and all that for Razor because they're toys and they're kids' toys, and I'm clearly not the right guy. But when we did the startup brand Stage 2, I was like, who are we going to get? Someone asked who we're going to get to ride this. I'm like, I got it. And so we went out and we were doing photo shoots and videos, and it gave me a really neat opportunity to dig back into the old skill set of knowing that when somebody is making a video or taking photos of you, that you have a responsibility to work with them and not just go and do your thing and wait for them to get the right shot. Like, you have to be aware. There's a whole different riding and mindset to doing a photo shoot than there is just being out sessioning with your buddies. And it was really fun to get to do that and dig back into that old experience and be doing that in my current day job. And I actually have, I got a really cool photo that was made for me that's hanging in my office from the very first day we got to ride those things. And some coworkers still will come by and they'll go, "Oh, who's that on that? Who's riding the Stage 2 in the photo?" And I'm like, "It's me. That's me." Yeah, that's why I have a photo of it.
Were you a test rider when Franzi was doing it too?
I think he was before me.
Okay, all right.
Or after me. I don't know. I can't really remember. It might have overlapped. The one that I remember the most being like sometimes on combo photo shoots was Tim Ebbett. Tim Ebbett was the one that I remember being with a lot. And Mike, I forget if Mike was before me or after me, but man, I was there for a long time. I think at one point, I had the longest run when you would open the page up on the inside. It would have the list of, editor and all that stuff. And I was on that list as a test rider for, it must have been 6 or 7 years. I mean, it was a long run.
What was the biggest disappointment bike that you rode, that you tested?
Good question.
They were all pretty bad compared to what my own, bike was. But because they're just completes and they were always like too short, or they had, short cranks or whatever. They're just always a little bit awkward. A lot of times I did ride bikes that were significantly smaller than what I would want to ride. And, you just make it work. I mean, there was a time where I think I did a test on a Diamondback Silver Streak up at Parks. And that bike was so tiny for me. It was like I was like 15 or 16, and it was for like an 11 or 12-year-old. The bars were, 26 inches wide, and, it was like, like probably an 18-inch top tube. It was tiny, but that's probably the hardest I worked. Was making it happen on that tiny little bike.
Did the magazine actually publish your opinion, or did they sugarcoat it and make up their own narrative?
I mean, I always filled out a questionnaire form and had just loose conversations and stuff. But I think for the most part, they had a very neutral sort of story for most of the bikes. Yeah, I think it really just depends on what the ad budget was, right? Like, I mean, if it was a company with a big ad budget, then the story was great. So
that's what I wanted to know. That's what I wanted to know. Man.
Yeah,
you look, thinking about those tests, I think the bike that you looked. Tell me how right I am or wrong I am.
All right.
I think the bike that you looked most comfortable on. You tested a GT Pro Series. And you look pretty comfortable on that bike. That was a pro level bike, though. I think it had the 3-piece cranks and everything on it. Do you remember that?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It was a white one. Somebody had just posted a shot doing a power wheelie of that, and I shared the story on my Insta. And I remember that. That was up at Colossus, up in Yorba Linda, one of my favorite spots to ride. And that bike was good. GTs were slack. Their head angles were pretty slack, pretty far into the game. And, that was the only thing that I think anytime I had to get on a GT that I was kind of like, another chopper, So
when you were preparing mentally for a bike test, did you feel any pressure at all like you would for a race, or was it just way more relaxed? I'm just going to go have fun today, or no, I got to look really good today. Did you have that? What was going on with that?
Yeah, I cared that all my uniform looked good, and like I would work on like a separate helmet and try to sticker it up appropriately and make everything look good. Because I mean that's really what that whole day would be about, was getting good photos. And so I wanted my uniform to always look good, but I didn't have full say on what it was either, like as far as the jersey and pants. So like I tried not to get too caught up in it. I was way more concerned about my own race kit, my own personal race kit than that stuff. But as far as the days of doing the shoots, it was never chill and easy. It was a shit ton of work. It was as hard as any training day I would put in, because you just had to keep hitting jumps over and over and over and over and over. It wasn't like you were going to, because I mean, we would try to get out of there we wouldn't be there all day. We'd be there for a few hours maybe, and just try to just hammer as much stuff out in as quick a time as we could. So, I mean, I came home from every single one of those days just completely cooked.
Well, what do you think the average amount of time was on this? Oh, sorry, Kev, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying he was a young kid too, and he was still exhausted, man.
Yeah, no, 15, 16, 17 around then, and in good race shape, but it was just so much over and over and over. And John Carr, he's notorious, and anyone that's ever done a photo shoot with him knows like the insider nickname for him. One more. John, one more car. Yeah, just one more. He used to like to. He used to always like to kind of like incentivize you too. Like if you were getting tired or maybe starting to not get the thing as the tabletop as flat as you were doing it, or the X up as far around as he wanted you to, he'd start to say, oh, Stu could do that tabletop a lot flatter than that. He'd start just throwing it out there for you, and I don't know if it was like that with everyone, but he used to do it with me, because I think he knew if he threw Stu out that I was going to step up, because anytime you mention my name in the same conversation as Stu, I just, I get all giddy. So
yeah. Hey, I got a question. Did all these years on a BMX bike, what was the sketchiest thing you ever did? Was it a jump? Was it did you ever get scared and like, you backed out or you nutted up and did it? What was the sketchiest time on a BMX bike?
Before he answers that, I can give you an idea of what I think it is. Do you mind, Billy? Dude, you were jumping.
No, go ahead.
You were jumping over your mini truck on flat ground on the street, dude. That was the one I was like, I was reading about that, and I go, he landed on flat ground?
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry about that. I didn't mean to bogart your question.
No, so you're right, but there's another one. And speaking of Tim Ebbett, we were doing a bike shootout for BMX Plus, and Tim was there as the test rider, and this was in 1985. But I was there in my own personal kit when I was riding for Mongoose, and it was at it was at Devonshire Downs at the second track that they had built. And it was just like maybe a month before the NBL National was coming there. This is 1985. And they had a pro double there that was the biggest double jump I'd ever seen. Like it looked like a motorcycle jump. And I was like, and they had just built it. So I don't know like how, it was ran in pretty good. But the thing about that day was that Greg was there and Pete was there and Rob Fade was there. And there was like all these pro guys there. And none of them wanted to hit it. And, I was riding the stock. I had my personal bike with me, but I was riding the stock Californian that was in the shootout. But I had my personal Mongoose uniform on. And Tim blasted the thing. I don't know what jump he was on, or what bike he was on when he did it. But I was like, man, I think I got it. I want to do it. And I really wanted to do it because after Tim did it and all the other pros, because I was 16X, I was still an amateur. And I was like, man, I really want to do it because none of the pros are doing it. And so I did, man. I nutted up and I came ripping down the hill and hit it. And it was, when I landed, I was going so fast because it was downhill and the jump was huge and the landing was, it must have been as high as a house. It was ridiculous how big this jump was. Wow. And when I landed, it was the first time I'd ever landed and felt like I was just going to compress into the bike and fall through the bike. It was all the strength in my legs and arms and body I had to land and I did over jump. I still landed on the back side, but I landed probably 15 feet past the peak.
Oh, wow.
And back wheel. So when the front wheel came down, it smacked really hard. And my chest probably hit the crossbar. I don't remember, but that's the kind of landing it was. So I'm going to say that jump is the gnarliest jump I ever did. But for whatever reason, the nutting up and getting the run at it was not hairy for me at all. The opposite, and then the jump ended up being crazy. The opposite is true about the mini truck jump. There was so much lead up, so much tension, so much let's put so BMX Action brought the ramp, and we had not really talked much about how I was going to do it. If we were going to maybe try to go to a park nearby. I was thinking there was a park nearby and it would be kind of cool if my truck was parked in the parking lot and I took the run at it and I jumped it and then I could land on grass that was on the other side. There was a lot of scenarios in my head about how I should do this. And they showed up to my parents' house, center of the cul-de-sac. We parked the truck and they pull out one of the BMX Action Trick Team kick turn ramps. And I'm like, yeah, I guess that'll work. It's kick turn ramp. I wasn't really, sure if I wanted to, or it wasn't the kick turn ramp because the kick turn ramp was the flat one. And this one was the radius. So it was the one that you would put in front of the kick turn ramp to just do. And
the transition had to be crappy.
It was super sharp. Like, it was super sharp. It was just this total kicker. And that's what I needed. It's not like I needed distance. So, like, I agreed that was the right ramp, but I was so, like, not familiar with really hitting a ramp like that. I wanted to hit the ramp a couple of times, but I didn't have anything to land on, so I never really did it. And then the first thing I did on the buildup was I moved the ramp, like, to the side of my truck, and I just jumped behind it and had a few people spot and see what it looked like. And they're like, maybe you got it. It looks close. It's like, and nobody was trying to talk me out of it.
Of course, yeah.
But I was like, okay, well, and finally I just said, to hell with it. We got to go for it. I mean, it was literally, I probably spent a half hour or 40 minutes hemming and hawing about, like, trying it and what I thought was going to happen and whatever. And finally, man, I just set the ramp up. And the one thing I did figure out from the jumping, like, behind the truck was I needed to scoot the ramp back about 1.5 feet from where I thought I would need it.
Yeah.
Because my back wheel would have clipped the side of the shell as I went over, because there just wasn't, it was just too close. And again, I was like, I don't have to go far, like, the distance isn't the problem. It's just getting the right height. And so anyway, all that build up. And then the first time I did it, it was like, that was nothing. I mean, the landing was a little bit harsh, but I just did, like, the drop off the loading dock sort of thing. I just went straight up and straight down and just landed, with the nose up, just back wheel, and just every single one was. And so, this, I've said this publicly before, like on some of the posts where it winds up, but after the first time I did it, Wendy was doing the photo and Gork was there, and there was like, okay, she's like, I got a good photo. And I'm like, well, how many exposures you got? She's like, I got 12. I'm like, all right, let's keep doing it. And I just did it. I burned her whole roll. So I just kept doing it. Yeah, I just kept doing it, and it just kept getting better and better and better. And actually, I've got some stills that a friend of mine that was there took, like, kind of the whole scene. And a couple of those have been out in the world versus just the magazine, because the magazine shot is cropped really tight. But this one from a few, from a little ways back where you see the whole scene, I've got a number of those that I'm like, man, I wish she would have picked that one, like, that I liked better than the one that she actually ran. Yeah. Because I think the one that actually ran was probably, like, if I did it 12 times that day. So the one that she actually ran is probably like the third or the fourth one. Like, it's pretty early on. Like, when we started getting towards the end of the roll there, 3, 4, 5 left, I was leaning it over and crossing up. I mean, I didn't do any 1-footers or helicopters or any of that stuff, but, like, I started leaning the thing over and it started getting a little more stylish. But she's just got the, like, still kind of just safety tuck one that she picked. But
I think the tucks.
I thought that was a one and done, dude. I wouldn't have thought you would have did it 12 times.
Did it all those times. And as far as the bike goes, that's another interesting one. I never measured it, but I would guess that I had that Redline flight spindle torsion to where the cranks were probably 5 degrees off. I mean, they were just crazy. The last couple of times going at it, the cranks were like,
wow.
had that, like, skip in them. And the back wheel was so bent that I had, flipped the quick release on the caliper brake, so it was just open because the rim was wobbling back and forth so much. And the bars slipped forward a couple of times. And I think in the photo of me jumping it, bars back then were pretty far forward, but I think I noticed in that photo when I look at it that the bars look like they had slipped on the one before, because they're pretty Chicago.
What tire would you have? 20 by 1.25s or 175?
No, I just had I was still running 175 front and rear.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I didn't.
Yeah, I got a race I want to talk to you about.
Hold on.
As soon as he's done, it's in my head.
I want to go back to the doubles at Devonshire Downs. After you nutted up and went over, what happened? What happened after with everybody else?
Yeah, Tim was stoked. We were laughing and going on and on about it, but nobody else went for it. And then the month later, like when we showed up at the race, they had chopped it down significantly. And it was still a big jump. Like there was a cover on BMX Action from that race. I think it's like Harry and Pistol Pete. Forget who else is in it, but there's a jump. They had made it more of like a drop off jump and less of a double. I think they left the takeoff the same, and then they chopped the landing down a little bit, made it more of like a double step down thing instead of just a straight up double. And
photo. I think Mike Miranda was in that too.
Maybe so. Yeah. But yeah, nobody else did it in that configuration. To my knowledge, me and Tim were the only two that ever did it.
That's bad.
Yeah. There's a shot of him. There's a shot of him that ran doing it. So no shot of me doing it ever ran, but the shot of Tim doing it, I mean, he looks like he's just jumping across two rooftops of buildings. I mean, it's like it's a pretty insane looking shot.
That is crazy, man.
Yeah.
All right, Kev, can I shift gears, or you want to ask him more about that?
No, go ahead. It's all you, man. Go for it.
Yeah. Sorry about that. So I do that to Kevin sometimes, man. He's like, "Wait, let me ask this question."
Hey, Billy, Danny gets on a roll, dude, and you can't stop him, man.
Yeah, man.
I can imagine how he raced. Same way.
All right, I'll try to keep up.
All right, dude. So 1983, Jag World Championships. I think you're 16 expert. You're factory mongoose, but you're racing in jeans. So the question I'm going to ask before I ask the race question, why were you in jeans and not in your race pants for that race?
I wish I could remember why. But I'm going to go with the best I can recall is not that I forgot them, because that was never a problem I had. It wasn't that I forgot my race pants, but that was the very next year. The very next year I was wearing Haro pants from previously having worn the Mongoose generic pant that the team wore.
Yeah.
And that generic pant, I had hit a little growth spurt where, I think I wore 32s at the time, but I'd started hitting this growth spurt and they were high watering on me so bad. Like I've got a picture of me at the 84 ABA Grands. I won 16 expert there and I got on the cover of the ABA newspaper. And you can almost see the stripes on my sock. Like there's like, they were high watering. Those pants were high watering so bad. And I think that's probably why I didn't wear those pants, because they didn't have a pair that fit me. And, back then we always raced locals in jeans, it was like now people show up and they've got their like joggers on and they practice in joggers. But, in the 80s, we just like, tell me you're not serious without telling me you're not serious. You just show up to a local and you're just wearing jeans and Billy, you just practice in the jeans and, and
I'm sorry, man. Go ahead, Billy.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So, I mean, I just was, so it was like racing in jeans was not something I'd never done, like we had some heaters out at Orange Y on, Friday nights and I was wearing jeans. So yeah, it's pretty funny though. Like I won cruiser. I think I got second in expert, but I won cruiser in jeans at the World Championship.
It was okay. That race was crazy because you and Brian Gass, I want to say it was 16X.
Yep. We were 16 at that one. Yep.
You guys were going at it. And there was that race has been watched and rewatched a million times. I've reviewed it probably a dozen times. But there's we call it a rhythm section, but they were calling it quads back then.
Sure.
Yeah. So Brian had you, but when you hit those quads, you were like, you doubled them and then you caught him. And then you went over the last jump and you pedaled over the last jump. So it was so smooth, by the way. And dude, he barely edged you out, and he got.
Yeah, it was close. I gave him a run for it. I think I forget how the cruiser main went down, but it was with Darwin Griffin that we had the battle in that one, and if I'm not mistaken, I think I had to pass him too. So
yeah, you passed him at the last
yeah.
step on the cruiser, yeah.
Yeah.
So that was badass. I was always wondering, I go, well, Todd Henry's there, and he was factory mongoose, and he had this whole uniform on. And I go, Billy's racing in 501s. So, like, we all raced in 501s. Like, that's just, I think that's what Kevin's kind of leaning towards. Like, I think that was, as a matter of fact, I remember BMX Action reviewing race pants, and they had a pair of 501s in there. So I was like, we all rode in 501s. Yeah, and what's really weird is when I grab my bike and I go to the local track, I swear I'm one of the only dudes wearing jeans and a sweatshirt. I'm like, does nobody race in jeans anymore? Because I mean, we all raced. We all raced in jeans.
No, I mean, that was the deal. And I CW, like when I was on CW, they had like a long sleeve T-shirt. It didn't really look like a jersey. It just had a little CW logo, but it did have like a cool like Shelby stripe down the side in black and red, and then a CW on the shoulder, and it was just a long sleeve yellow T-shirt. And I used to wear that in jeans all the time. Just racing a Friday night at Orange.
Yeah, so. I can imagine that. I want to play a game with Kevin. Kevin, before you ask the question, I'm going to ask you. Can let's see how many factory teams you and I can name for Billy. You want to play with me?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, you go first.
Brian Skura Racing.
Man, that's not a factory team. All right, I'll take it. Okay, you said Brian Skura.
Okay, all right, Mongoose.
You went with Mongoose?
Yeah.
Okay. You raced for Schwinn.
Yes.
Yeah, but he raced for Schwinn, but not on a Schwinn.
That's right.
All right, what else you got?
CW.
Okay, Haro.
Yeah.
Park Pre?
Nope.
Iron Horse.
Iron Horse. Okay. You wrote all this down, dude. You can't
I swear I'm going right off the top of my head. I swear to God. Okay, so you got another one?
No, I'm done.
Dude, Redline. You left out Redline.
We just talked about it. Yeah.
Yeah. You worked at GT and you raced for GT in the back end of his career, right? Okay, and then
that's right. Yeah.
Let me think. So we said Mongoose, Schwinn, CW, Haro, Iron Horse, Redline, GT. I feel like I'm missing one. Kev, can you think of anything else?
No, I've already tapped out, dude.
Damn, I know there's something. Well, I mean, I don't know.
There is another one. So you guys let me know, and I'll tell you when, and I'll give you, and I'll elaborate on some of the order and some of the circumstances.
All right. Is it a major team?
At the time, it was pretty major. Yeah, not major like the other ones, but definitely a valid factory team, no doubt.
Okay. So I could say Chase because technically you're a Chase rider right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God, I can't think of it.
That's not the one though. That's not the one I'm talking about.
All right. I'm tapped out, dude. I thought we did pretty good, Ken.
Okay.
Terrible.
Okay. So we started, you guys, you mentioned Brian Skura first, and that is my first legitimate sponsor. When I very first started racing in January of '81, there was a local bike shop that me and all my buddies in the neighborhood would go to. And that was called Brownie's Bike and Skate. And then it became Brownie's Bike and Skate and Lawnmower. And that was just our local closest bike shop. And we would all go there and, do the typical thing. I know you guys did this where you walk in and you're just looking at the glass case and all the anodized parts, and you're just like drooling over everything, right? And so I rode for that bike shop for a very, very short amount of time. The Brian Skura story, I mean, it's all very fresh for me because he was just inducted to the Hall of Fame, and I went to Tulsa because there was no way I was going to miss his induction because he's waited so long for it. And also he was so significant in the beginning of my career. And so when I started racing, my bike that I'd got didn't actually come from Brownie's Bike and Skate. It came from BS Bikes, which was Brian's bike shop in Santa Ana, over off Harbor and Trask, if you know Santa Ana at all. And it was a GT Pro. And so I started my racing career on that bike, albeit wearing the Brownies bike and skate jersey and a bunch of parts that I'd gotten from Brownies. But Brian wound up sponsoring me shortly after I turned expert. I was, I went through the beginner and novice ranks pretty quickly. And when I got into expert, I dropped in pretty quick. And it was only the first expert local that I won, which I beat Brian Gass in, and he was the shit at the time. Like, he was the guy. He'd been racing since he was, really young. Yeah. And I didn't start until I was 12. So, like, even when I turned expert, not only was I the new guy that just, not only did I just turn expert, but now the guys that I'm racing that are all the hot shoes around the local, SoCal tracks, they've been experts since they were 8 or 9, So not only was I new to the expert class, but I was just new to racing in general. So I was really far behind on the experience, but I had the speed. And so I started winning pretty quickly and winning like the Friday nights at Orange and winning some double and triple pointers, and like the Cooks Brothers Classic happened out at Prado and I got second there, and there was like a quarter there, it was like basically a national, and so Brian Skura said, we would see him at Orange all the time, me and my dad, and he offered me a spot on the team. And his team at the time was very small. He only had a couple of riders, but he had Mike Miranda on the team. He had, he was, obviously, Greg Hill was dating his sister and eventually married her. And so there was a connection with Greg there, and Pete Lonkarovich was there a lot. It was, Brian built wheels for all these guys. He was like their dialing in shop, right? So I immediately got dumped into a pool of all these amazing talents, and Brian had been working with them, and he just took me down the same path that he was working with them guys on, and the psychological aspect of it. And he really, really taught me how to race. He didn't teach me, he taught me how to do gate starts and how to race. He taught me my racecraft. So Brian, at the time, being the largest GT dealer in Southern California, immediately went to Gary and Richard and was like, I've got a guy for you. And wow. Yeah, very, very interesting at the time, because I had only been racing about a year at this point. And Jeez. Gary said yes. And then Richard hemmed and hawed and said no. And, I was kind of like, I'd kind of already been offered to me by Gary, but then Richard said no. So it was like, you're going to be on GT. And then all of a sudden you're not on GT. And so, I don't know, like things got a little funky and a little weird. I mean, I was only, 12. I just started racing, like it was all happening so fast. Looking back, I don't regret that at all, because I was not ready to be on the team. And Richard was absolutely right. I had the speed. I did not have the experience. And I think Gary just, Gary liked me. Gary liked my dad, like they were at Orange all the time, and, we got to know them and stuff. And so I wound up getting on another bike shop team called Irvine Bike Company, family owned. The kid raced. It was really, really neat, really family oriented, way less serious than Brian was. Not my dad, but my mom was a little nervous about how serious Brian was. I had just started. She wanted me to just have fun, right? Like, she just didn't want to see me get sucked into the machine. And I also think she was suspect that here's this new kid and he's good, and people are going to try to poach him and, exploit this. And, she didn't understand, sponsorship and all that stuff. And so I go and ride for this Irvine Bike Company team. It's just another bike shop, and that goes really good for a while. And I mean, I had a lot of fun. I did a lot of it was like 5 or 6 months I rode for them. And here's sorry for the long build up to this, but
it's okay.
But I got a call from Chuck Rogers, who was running the Bassett BMX team at the time. And it was Denny Davidow and Dave Lee and Roger Linder. And I mean, there was a good amount of local talent. This was a real team, and it was a factory team. They made bikes and all that stuff. So I said, hell yeah, let's do it. And so I rode for them for 3 months, and then Roger Worsham called. And that was, CW was huge at the time. That was Bassett was a legit team, and it was a great first factory team to ride for. But when Roger called, it was like, oh no, this is to me, that was as good of an opportunity as the GT one that didn't pan out. And
I wonder if
and then it goes from there, and then it just kind of rolls from there. But so I mean, that's a lot of the early stuff that don't really get a chance to talk about too much. So thank you guys for letting me
no problem,
spew all that out.
That's awesome.
I don't think anybody actually. I don't think I've ever actually told the story about Brian trying to spoon feed me to the GT team.
It's strange because it's like, Rich decided you weren't a fit at the time, but just a short couple years later, you were like a superstar in the sport. So I'm wondering if he was like, damn it, I had him and I let him go. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know. I mean, Richard, even when I worked at GT, when I got hired to work there, Richard was always very cool to me and cordial, but Richard was, he was kind of a hard ass, and I think it was always hard for me to get a read on him, even as a, late 20s adult. And, but when I was a kid, I just, I was indifferent to whatever. I was disappointed that I didn't get the opportunity, but I think somebody had said, it might've been Brian Skura at the time when he was telling me, he was like, don't worry about this. You're going to have plenty of opportunities. So,
yeah, he was right on the money.
Yeah. And I did. I do like at the end of the day that my history at GT, both starting my racing career with Brian on a GT and then going all through my whole career, and never once ever when sponsor negotiation or whatever contracts were up or whatever, did I ever talk to GT? I just never did. Nobody ever there was ever very interested in it. And I never reached out to them. It didn't seem like at any time that I was looking that I was, up for a contract renewal or new one, that there was no room at the end anyway. They had riders in my class, and then obviously they, when I was pro, they had Gary the whole time. And, they had a couple of other riders here and there. They were a team known for multiple pros, and especially as the brands, they started acquiring more brands. There were more pros in the house there, but it just never was a fit because the slot was always full. So, starting my career on GT and then ending my career, my last AA pro race ever was the Worlds in Argentina in 2000. And I had been part-timing it for a couple of years at that point anyway, working at GT. And I finally used the R word for that race. I finally officially retired because I hadn't yet. I was sure I wasn't racing full time anymore when I started working at GT, but I wasn't done. I wasn't done racing, I think.
Go ahead, Kev.
Billy, I did a little bit of research on you. I called my brother today, and I talked to my brother about it. I go, hey, did you work with Billy? And he said he used to walk through the office and give you high fives all the time.
Some of my best memories at GT are with your brother. You know, just as far as the working vibe, you know, getting to work on Powerlight and even some of the dyno stuff, you know, even though dyno wasn't the high end one, there was still, you know, it still mattered, you know, and all the Wilsonisms. I mean, to this day, I still remember them all.
Dude, I had to grow up with him, dude. I've heard it my whole life. Dude, that's nothing. He's done that since he was 5 years old, dude.
Yeah.
Dude,
I can't wait to meet your brother, dude. I have not met Kevin's brother, so I can't wait.
Hey, Bill, I was telling Billy before we started, before he came on, it's disgusting, dude. Everybody loves my brother, dude. I'm the dark sheep of the black sheep of the family.
Yeah.
Dude, so did you? So I asked him about. Okay, so I always give him a hard time about the Dyno Bazooka. I said, do you regret designing or bringing the Dyno Bazooka to market? And he says, absolutely not, dude. We sold truckloads of those things. We made a fortune. I was like, okay, all right, cool. Because I like the bazooka, but they're absolutely worthless. So I always tease him about that.
It was speaking of GT, man. When we were at Dirty Fest, Philly. Me and Kevin ran into Greg Romero, and Greg's got. He's like, I don't know. I guess like a younger version of you with the way he keeps his bikes. They're just amazing. And he had his actual race bikes on display for the show. And me and Kevin walked up and we were admiring one of his GTs. And he was like, tell me the difference between this prototype and this bike. And he wouldn't let up. He goes, come on, man. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you think. Apparently you built the bike for me. So we were like, I don't know, dude. And I was looking at Kevin. Kevin's got a way better eye for this thing than I do. And Kevin's like, I don't know, the bottom bracket looks a little different. And he goes, okay, you're on the right track. And I guess you changed the rear dropout was from a cruiser. Is that what it was, Kevin? I don't even remember.
Yeah. So a couple things. So when I started, it took a little while. Like, I think, you know, at this point, Kev, your brother had already moved on to do the Nerve thing with Bill and a couple of other people from GT. Sochek went with them, and Soch was the guy that taught me everything I know about building bike frames and industrial design. And I always wanted, GT was a great soft landing for me to retire from Pro BMX and be able to land into a circumstance where I could use all of my experience as a racer, all of the struggle and strife I went through in my career to get bikes to ride the way I wanted them to ride. I mean, there's a whole nother show on the bikes, and I rode a free agent when I was on Redline, and I got kicked off a Schwinn because Boris Dixon made me a frame because I couldn't stand the stock Predator, and stings were heavy, and so when I got to GT, I didn't exactly know what my path would be there. I knew what I wanted to do. I didn't know if that was going to be an option for me. Most retired racers come in and do sales, or they're a marketing guy or whatever. They don't walk in and say, I want to be a designer,
Mm-hmm.
And so that opportunity got me, by the time I got to the point where I was up and running in that role, I started in 95, and it was really about 97. So it took me a couple of years, and I had to go through I had to do QC, and you know how many times your brother's been to China, and I never got stuck going to China, but I sat on that assembly line watching the bikes go down and making sure the parts were, I did all the stuff to prove that I'm here for real, which is what they do at GT. They test you and they make it suck, because everyone thinks working at GT is bitching, but it can suck. And so I by the time I got set up, though, I'm like, okay, I'm finally in this role where I'm going to be able to really make the difference that I want to make. And if it's not for the company on the whole, it's at least going to be for the factory team riders, who I know everybody on the team. And I've raced with most of these guys, and it's all a really big deal to me to be able to contribute to winning races with them. And building custom frames was like the sweet spot. We had, by the time we got to Dyer Road, we had that massive track out back that I was able to build.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so, yeah, and so I could like Dead Sailor. If you go look up Dead Sailor, you know the Eddie Roman movie that he made about GT, where there's a lot of footage back there of us sessioning on the track. But like I just started building bikes and trying all kinds of things to that in my head. I'm like, okay, this might help. Let's try this. Let's find out what this does wrong. You know, if this is good, what's the cost? Because there is no free lunch. You're always giving and taking to get the bikes to ride right. But then when I really got the opportunity to start working with a handful of the riders, and not just like, hey, I want this, this, and this, and then I build it. We're having conversations. We're having conversations about more than head angles and bottom bracket heights. We're talking about the feel of the frame. You know, we're very early into aluminum being the new material. And when that first happened, aluminum frames being so much more rigid than chromoly frames was like, oh, this is bitchin'. This is a good thing. But then it's possible to have too much of a good thing. And with the box stays that were already happening when I started, I rode one of the very early ones that was a prototype, and I did some gates on it, and I felt like I had a two-tooth harder front sprocket on because the frame was so rigid. There was nothing in there giving, and there was no wind up to it, and the gear just feels hard and the frame feels dead. And I'm like, man, this is going to be a problem. So what winds up happening is I'm building all these custom frames for the riders that we're doing all kinds of stuff. We're trying to push the through tube farther forward. I'm using really thin, like Zascar mountain bike down tubes, and just trying to make them light, but also trying to loosen them up so that they'll get out of the gate and not wash out as soon as you hit the corner, because there's nothing in the chassis flexing, absorbing that energy. And so Greg was really, really receptive to that. The looser we could make Greg's bikes, the better he did. And so using cruiser stays at one point, they had an indention that thinned them out. And that was for tire clearance on a cruiser. But how we used them on the 20-inch was to use he liked a longer rear end, which was beneficial to getting some more bottom bracket flex. Because the rear end's longer, and we used those because they got real thin in that section, and that gave just enough more feel to the bike that he just loved it. And we wound up doing a couple more for other people too. I think Danny Nelson got one with cruiser stays, and that became the go-to stay for me. And then when we did the Ultra Box, well, those were Ultra Boxes, but then when we started I started working on a second version of the Ultra Box, which never happened because the bankruptcy happened and all that stuff. But I started using the smaller stay from the expert size frames. In fact, the one bike that I'm still holding on to, it's in Tulsa now at the Hall of Fame. It's not on display yet, but eventually. And it has the expert size mainstay on it. And that bike, that's the bike that I raced my very last AA race in Argentina at the Worlds on. And that bike was like on point. But lo and behold, the future of the Ultra Box after the real GT was done was they took it in the exact opposite direction when it went and got made in Taiwan. So, it is what it is. But yeah,
you made a good bike because Danny's box fell out the back of his car on the freeway, and it didn't break, right, Danny?
Kevin, you read my mind, man. I was racing a 98 GT box series in 2012, Billy. I was still racing it. That bike was badass. It's one of the best bikes I've ever ridden. And everybody was looking at my bike going, oh man, that's old school, and blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, I don't know, man, this bike is fast. And I let too many negative comments get in my head. So I got a modern Haro. And I got off the GT and immediately felt the difference, dude. I'm like, oh, I like the GT so much better. And Kevin's riding a P51 Powerlight. He swears by that bike. And these are
the True Temper Chromoly one.
Me?
Is that
No,
what-
the 96 aluminum.
Oh, because there was a chromoly one. There was a chromoly one in '99 that was all nice, true temper tubing and super like old school kind of feeling chromoly frame, but with like all the modern geometry, long top tube, all that stuff. We made that bike for a little while, but
but after we say goodbye to you after trivia, Billy, Newel Ruggles is coming on after you to talk about the bike show, and Newell's in staging right now. But we talked about Powerline, and he brought up that Chrome Molly P51. So I called my brother today, and I go, "Did you guys want me a Chrome Molly P51?" And he goes, and it was after my time. He didn't do the Chrome Molly.
No, it was. He was already gone, but
yeah.
I got one more question. I know we're running late on time, Kev, but I wanted to ask Billy about the Mike King, Billy Griggs trade between Redline and Haro. Was that an actual trade, Billy, or did the magazines type it up? Because they said it was a trade, and I go, did they actually trade?
Yeah. There was a lot to do about that and how it went down. And ironically, I thought that, Haro was another team like GT where they had multiple pros. They had Mike King and Pistol Pete for a long time together. And then Pete kind of dropped off for a while, and Mikey was on his own. And those couple of years when Mikey was on his own, I think his performance had dropped off a little bit.
Okay.
And so when Bob Haro called me shortly after the Grands, the 1990 ABA Grands, Bob calls me and he asks if I'm interested in coming down and riding for him. Now, we had also had some loose conversations years before when he was first starting the race bike division.
Okay.
And I was on Mongoose, but I was, and so there was like a little bit of a loose conversation about maybe going and riding for Haro then, but I was pretty happy, where I was at, and I didn't want to switch sponsors again and whatever. And the only reason I ever left Mongoose was because Mongoose was sold. And that's how I wound up on Redline. Was because I just basically needed a job. They were sold and they fired everyone. But so the story with Mike goes that, Bob's talking to me about coming down there. Never once did he mention Mike. I just assumed the whole time, like, me and Mike are good friends. Like, we traveled together to some races and split expenses so we could keep more money in our pockets. And we just, I thought the whole time, and I had made some comment about, and like me and Mikey together as teammates would be a good fit. I think we'll really, we could really incent. And he goes, oh no, Mike's not coming back.
Oh,
I'm calling you for his spot. And I was like, oh shit. I'm like, well, and I didn't ask anything more. I said, but at that point, the conversation was already like, that didn't really change. Like, I would have been thrilled to be teammates with Mike. That would have been, I think that would have been awesome for both of us. But when he said that Mike wasn't coming back, I was like, well, I'm still interested in talking, because I was getting to a point in my career where I was ready to I was ready to do something a little different. I'd just been at Redline for, I was getting ready to head into my 6th year there, and since it was no longer Redline with Lynn Caston, it was Seattle Bike Supply. That was good. There were some really great things about that, but I don't know. I just felt like I wanted to try something different at the time. And so, me taking that ride, Mike was leaving anyway. There was no, I'm replacing him. They're firing Mike. Mike didn't want to ride for Haro anymore. Anyway, that's what I was told. Mike was leaving. Not Mike was fired, not Mike's being replaced, nothing like that. And so when I get on Haro, Mike's like, okay, well, gee, there's an open spot. Like, there was no, I think it's just by default, there was no other open team for Mike to ride, to try to ride for. So me going to Haro just left a void at Redline. And so that made perfect sense. He just landed there. And so, it was, that's kind of how that went down. It wasn't really, and so, it was kind of funny. We both kind of we both kind of like had a few good, again, we're good friends. So like we both had a few snickers and chuckles about it, you know? So, I mean, I never asked, it's not my business. I don't know why him and Bob decided that they were going to part ways or he wanted to leave or whatever happened. So,
go ahead, Kev.
Forgive me if this isn't you, but were you on Redline did you bring Jason Donnell to Redline?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, I thought so.
I did. 1990, 1990, I was given the opportunity to hand select an amateur team and try to go out and win some team trophies. And, you know, Jason was a kid I grew up with at Orange Y, and he was awesome all the time. And so, you know, that team really consisted of a lot of local riders, you know, a lot of local Orange kids I'd known forever. And I just thought that made the most sense if I'm going to put a team together and be the team manager and the team pro, that I want to have kids who I know them, I know their parents. Like, I don't want to deal with any parent drama, just getting to know people. I want people on the team that I know what I'm getting, you know? So
Jason was one of like the fifth guy that I interviewed. And we talked about when he went to Redline, because you mentioned that you rode a free agent, and he told the same thing. He goes,
yeah, we all rode free agents at that point.
Those frames were horrible. We all rode free agents.
Yeah. Redlines, especially when they got into Lynn, it's funny that story with the free agent limo, that happened because I was good friends with the Shoops. They went and parked right down the street from where I live. When they started building the frames in the garage, I had the track in the backyard of my parents' house, and Brent would come over and like they'd bring bikes. And if Todd Slavic, who was riding for them at the time, was in town, they'd come over and ride the backyard. And they bring a limo over one time, and I'm looking at it going, "Oh my God, it's 21-inch top tube. Like, it's 2 inches longer than the Redline I've got." And I wound up getting to ride one around in my backyard on my track, and I was like, man, that's good. And so when the transition from Lynn Caston to Seattle Bike Supply happened, I struggled with Lynn. He was never going to build me a custom bike, and I just did the best I could with a 5-inch head tube and a giant high bottom bracket and all the stuff. Those frames were so antiquated at the time. They were awesome when they were new, but at that point they were done. Yeah. And when it turned out to be Seattle Bike, they're like, we don't really know what we're doing for manufacturing of bikes. We're getting all the excess inventory, but as far as making anything new, we don't really know what we're doing. And I'm like, that's okay. I can get a bike. I got the bike covered. I'll dress it up and, put the graphics on it and whatever. And that bike was an immediate game changer. It was June of 1988. I was in my sophomore season and had not really broken through significantly yet. And the first 2 weekends racing that bike, I went from like making the main and being like 4th, 5th to like winning and like swooping weekends. And like, it just changed everything for me. And, so yeah, when we were on Redline, there was during the SBS, like 88 to like 90 for me, those 3 years with SBS, there was never a stock frame that I rode ever. I just rode limos.
Yeah.
Wow. I would have covered it because you covered it well with the graphics, because I just always assumed you were on a Redline. Yep. That's well done.
Yeah, we painted. Like, they had like the chrome frame and a black bottom bracket, and the graphics transitioned, and I literally would mask it off and rattle can the bottom bracket black and then put the stickers on and go. They had the triangle gusset, like a lot of frames were, copying the Redline triangle gusset. So it's like, all right, the dropouts looked a lot different, but whatever, So the free agent limo I still have to this day. The one I have was actually stickered as a Redline. And also stickered as a Haro, because when I first got on Haro, it took them a little while to build that bike. And I know you guys got to go. I'm going to tell you a really, really funny story really quick. All those years riding for Redline, Lynn would never build me a custom bike. He would never let me ride a bike without a 5-inch head tube, because those were Redline signature calling cards. When I finally got on Haro and they were building that Pro Series frame in Mexico, and Lynn was building them, his, Caston, the frame manufacturer, was building those frames. And I rode their production one, And I was like, it's not quite. It's close, but it's not quite. And I said, so I'm going to just put my free agent back together with Haro decals. And you guys, here's another free agent. You guys can go copy it. And I didn't know who was building their frames at the time. And they said, yeah, no problem. We'll send that down to Lynn. And I started laughing my ass off because I thought, no way. All those years I ride for Lynn, he won't build me a custom frame. But now I'm riding for Haro. He's the vendor building the Haro Pro Series. I'm going to get my custom frame made by Lynn finally. So I had to go ride for Haro to get Lynn to build me the frame that I wanted. So, and no shade on Lynn. I mean, his craftsmanship, those bikes, they are beautiful, but you know, it got that frame became antiquated. It had specific things about it that were great when Stu rode it, but as we got farther down the road, other frames were advancing, top tubes were getting longer, bottom brackets were getting lower, 5-inch head tubes were certainly done. And, you know, I think he was over the business at that point and wasn't willing to really move forward. So
Maybe.
I got a question regarding that, Billy. How hard was it for you to decide what bike's going to go in the actual Hall of Fame? Because you got a Haro sitting in there, right? So
yeah.
How hard was that? I imagine you have a lot of stuff to choose from.
Yeah, fortunately, the fact that my parents stayed in the house I grew up in, and I'm still in the first house that I bought when I moved out of my parents' house. So I've only moved once in my life, and my parents have never moved. So that's a good way to hang on to a lot of stuff, because it's when you move that shit gets,
right,
you know, displaced and gotten rid of and all that. So yeah, Gork came by my house and picked up a lot of stuff when he was going from Arizona. He did a SoCal swing and picked up a lot of things to take to Tulsa when he was going to set up the Hall of Fame. And so, yeah, he got a good amount of stuff from me, but, you know, the Haro that he's got there is my 1992 race bike. There was a couple of them, but like you got that photo with a black one, which I got in big trouble for because they didn't sell it in black.
That is,
and I just painted one black because, yeah. So in fact, I think that one that's black is actually the one. It's got chrome under it, and the one that's in Tulsa is that one, because that one ended up being my practice bike and was the only one I kept. Yep. So yeah, that bike, the paint stripped off of it, and that's basically that's the bike that's on display in Tulsa. When I got inducted, I gave them a Redline jersey because, in my opinion, the work that I did that ultimately, I think, validated me as a Hall of Famer all happened while I was on Redline, from all the magazine coverage to turning pro and, you know, being up for titles and all that stuff. It all happened on Redline. And so I just felt like that's the jersey I want hanging in there, because I still view myself as a Redline guy first and foremost, even though I did ride for Haro for a number of years. Almost equal to what I rode for Redline. I still just view Redline as kind of where I did the body of work that was what I'm most proud of.
That's awesome. I never knew that. I would have never guessed that.
Dude. Great question, dude.
Yeah.
You want to do some trivia, Billy?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Because I got,
of course,
this here. Happens, Billy, man. I never get to all my questions, and then I start spinning on other questions. And this is a great interview, though, man. Thanks so much, Billy, for taking the time, man. Because we've been bending your ear for over.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry I'm taking so much of your time. It's just anybody that knows me knows that I just ramble. So,
hey, Newel, can you hear me, Newel? You want to play some trivia? Give me a thumbs up.
Oh, you got somebody on staging?
Hold on.
You know what? Let me go to the restroom, guys. Give me a second.
Newel, what's up, dude?
Hey, Billy.
How's it going?
Good.
Fancy meeting you here.
Yeah, I haven't seen you at the track lately.
Yeah, it's off season for me. You know, I came out Saturday for the grand opening. I was there, but I didn't. That was a tough night as far as escaping conversations, because so many people were there I hadn't seen in so long. But dude, yeah, awesome, man. I know we've talked about this, and I've talked about it with with other people involved, that I'm like, man, if this ever happens, and I've told you this, and I'll tell you again right now on the show, anything I can do, anything I can do, I'm so thrilled to see this happening. So
yeah, we're overwhelmed. Everybody that night is coming there, and a lot of people actually came. I don't know how many memberships I renewed that hadn't been racing in a couple of years. They're like, hey, we're going to start doing this again.
You've got like over 50 new memberships, right? And just a short amount of time or something. It's an outrageous number. Like it's like a record, right?
No, well, for us probably for Whittier. Okay. Yeah. So what we're doing on the weekends now is we're doing free trial memberships. So if you've never raced BMX, you could come out on Saturdays and you could try it for free. So we're doing tons of free trials right now. And then hopefully, as we go on, we're converting them to full memberships and getting them racing. But we're just trying to get people on the track racing again. That's the main thing. Yeah.
That's amazing. It's amazing all to see that night, see that Saturday night a couple weeks ago, and just how many people were there and how many people are interested and psyched on this, so
for sure. Yeah,
I had to bring
I'll be out.
I'll sleep.
I'll be out a bunch. It's just I always kind of pull back a little bit during the winter, the dark months in the winter and stuff. So give myself a little bit of room.
You're the only smart one. Most of us take the 3 weeks off from Grands till the beginning of the season.
Yeah,
I mean, That's not a lot of time.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, well, I brought Newel on a little early, everybody, in case you're wondering. After we finish with Billy in the trivia game, Newel's going to tell us about Newel's the TO of the Whittier Narrows track down in South El Monte, right, Newel?
That's it. Yep.
South El Monte,
which I'm a very proud local of that track for quite a while now. So
yeah. So Newel's going to talk about his track. He's going to talk about this upcoming old school BMX show, something like that, right, Newel?
Yep. I'm trying to imitate Miranda, and we're going to do our own little vintage racing out there.
Oh, nice. Okay. Oh, bitchin'. Okay. All right. Nice. So we'll talk about that after the trivia game. But at this particular point, Danny's going to take control, and Danny's the arbiter of the game. Danny, go for it, bro.
All right, man. I know I'm Danny. I don't know you. So.
How's it going?
What do you got back for Newel? Is that it? What kind of car is back there? What is that?
I got a pile of cars.
The blue one.
That particular one's a newer Challenger.
That's my car.
Yeah, but I collect
have the same color and everything.
Before I collected power lights, I collected cars. But now cars are too expensive to get now, so now I'm just finding bikes.
Yeah, I was looking at it going, is that my car back there? And I my vision's not the greatest, man. So I'm like, it looks like it's my car. I have the same color and everything. That's so cool. All right, man. I like you already.
You got a 6-cylinder, don't you, Danny?
I just got the GT.
Automatic.
Yeah, automatic 6-cylinder. Drives me all over the place. All right. Thanks for throwing me under the bus.
It was a guess. I didn't know. I just guessed it.
No, I got the GT package because it gives me that whole Hemi look, but no, that's the 6-cylinder. Yeah. All right, man. So are you guys ready?
Well, hey, maybe run through the rules for Newel so he's good.
Okay, no problem. Let me get my scoreboard together too, because I don't.
Right now, everything I know about power lights, most of it came from Billy. So.
Well, this isn't a power light. This isn't a power light. We're gonna do pop culture, all kinds of stuff. So we're gonna.
I might have a chance.
All right, so there are 2 categories. We have BMX, we have pop culture. So when it's your turn, you get to pick. You're like, well, I want to do a BMX question. If you miss the question, the person who's next can steal it. So, for example, if Kevin misses, Billy can steal it. If Billy misses, Newel can steal it, and so forth and so on. And we'll go around. So whoever gets the most questions right is the winner. And I have I think we can handle 3 guys. It'll be all right. I got quite a few questions.
Good.
All right. So Billy, you're the actual first guest, so you get to go first. What do you want to do?
Pop culture.
All right, you ready?
Here we go.
I hope so.
All right. Who sang the song "What's Love Got to Do with It" in the 1980s?
Tina Turner.
Tina Turner. There's one. All right, softball one out of the way.
Hey,
All right,
you know what I
Newel.
learned the other day? Her hair was a wig. Did you guys know that?
No.
You could probably guess. You could probably guess.
I had no
I think
idea.
there's a lot of that in show business.
I didn't know that. Yeah. You got me on that. What do you think, Newell? What do you want to try?
Let's go for BMX.
All right. In 1986, RS1, RS2, and RS3 refer to what bike company?
RS. Well, we were talking about red lines, so that's probably not it. RS. It's probably gonna be something obvious.
For the steal?
Go for it.
But how do we steal?
My turn. I get to steal.
You get to steal.
Yeah.
I didn't get a copy of the rule book up front. I'm not sure how it goes. So
Yeah,
okay.
we go in the same order for steals, but if Kevin misses it, then Billy, you can steal it from Kevin.
Okay, gotcha.
Newell's still thinking, though.
I don't know. Mongoose.
It's not Mongoose. Kevin, do you know what it is?
I'm pretty sure it's Oro, right?
It's Haro. Yeah, Haro's the one. Okay. I was kind of hoping. I thought that Billy was going to get that question first. I was going to lob him a softball, get him warmed up.
That would have been easier. That would have been easier than Tina Turner.
Yeah.
All right. I'll take pop culture.
Okay, Kev, you ready?
Yeah.
Who said "I pity the fool"?
Mr.
Who's
T,
famous for
Clubber
saying?
Lang,
Clubber Lang, Mr. T. We'll accept that answer. Good job, my dude.
Rocky 3.
All right. So, Kevin, you have two.
What was Mr. T's first name in the movie? Anybody know?
Well, Clubber, right?
Clubber Lang.
But what was his first name?
Oh,
In the
I don't know.
James. Anyways, go ahead.
James Clubber Lang?
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
James Clubber Lang.
I wouldn't have known that, man. All right. So let's see.
Me neither.
To Billy. We went around the horn. So, Billy, your turn.
Yep. Okay, I'll do BMX this time.
In 1986, whose nickname was the Destroyer?
The Destroyer in 1986.
His last name kind of goes with it when you say it.
Not Vertigo.
I'm gonna have to pass. I'm gonna. Yeah, I don't know. The Destroyer.
You got to phone a friend, dude, or call somebody.
Yeah. Yeah.
Newell, do
The
you know?
Destroyer in 19.
Destroyer. I mean, I was 3 years old. I don't know.
Oh, I forgot he's much younger than us. Okay, sorry about that, dude.
The Destroyer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have it. I don't have it.
What do you think, Kev?
Wow, dude,
It's a tough one. It's one of the hardest questions.
he's a top tier rider, right, bro?
Top tier rider, definitely.
Charles Townsend.
Dave Cullinan the Destroyer.
Oh, okay, all right.
So nobody gets that one. All right, cool. So I get that. That means one.
Danny gets
Yeah, and I know Dave. I know Dave really well. Like we rode around in mini trucks together and like plugged in subwoofers and shit. And yeah, Dave the Destroyer. I guess that does ring a bell. I guess for me that never would have come up though. It would have never drawn Destroyer for him because it was always just Cully or Coolinan.
cool.
Yeah, they did
Coolinan.
in this issue of BMX Action. They tested the RORS1. It had just came out.
Oh, look at that! I see.
Yeah.
I see what you're doing there. Okay.
And in this insert, they call them Cullinan the Destroyer.
The Destroyer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I'm not questioning. I'm feeling a little bit better about missing it because I know Cully by other nicknames, so it's okay. I don't feel so bad for not knowing.
It might have been a niche thing they made up for just that test. So, yeah, so that was a tough one. All right, so let's see. That was originally Billy's question. So No, was it Billy's question? Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So we're going back to Newell. What do you want to do, bud?
Let's try. Are these all 80s pop culture? Let's go BMX. Let's go BMX.
Okay.
You're a little young, Newell, for the 80s pop culture, aren't you?
I try to pay attention to these some old guys' podcasts, so maybe I'll get one.
He's gonna do a vintage BMX race, so some of the names are gonna sound familiar.
Yeah, I need to get educated.
All right. 1986, Tommy Brackens was racing for who? What factory team?
Oh, let's see. It was funny because on our social media post today, I just posted a picture of Tommy at Whittier Narrows in '94. By that time, he was already on his own ride. '84. You think GT would be before that? So maybe something after GT, but I don't even know what would be after GT. Let's go with the GT.
Correct. GT's the answer. Good job.
Yeah.
All right.
I thought you were going to say, I was going to tell you, one of the things I tell all the guests, try not to think out loud because you'll give the answer away.
Yeah.
Well, I guarantee Billy and Kevin already knew the answer. So
I don't know, Kevin, did you have that one?
I knew that one. In fact, I can throw in a little extra trivia bonus to that. After GT and before Brackens, who did Tommy ride for?
Oh, I can picture something in my head.
I'm not trying to take over the host of the game show here.
We love it.
CW?
Nope.
CW is probably early.
I want to say the colors of the team was orange and black, but
Red and white.
red and white. Okay.
Robinson.
Oh man, I know I can't. It's on the tip of my tongue. I don't know the answer.
World class racing.
That's what it was. World class racing. Yes. Okay.
World class racing. Yep. Yeah. It was a pretty that's like the equivalent of for not being a bike factory team. It was like a factory team though with the caliber of riders it had. It was just one of those. It was like a generic East Coast team, like Eagle Snacks or whatever. Just kind of. Don Krupe was the team manager and put that thing together.
Oh well.
That's a whole kind of a weird situation for Tommy because Tommy's an A-lister and suddenly not on GT. I mean, I think that can make room for Kevin Hull to turn pro or something like that. I don't know. I can't. I've got so many facts stuck in my head. I don't.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. So anyhow.
All right. So let's see. So that was Newell got that one right. So it's
Yep.
Yeah. So Kevin, you got a lead. It's 1 for Newell, 1 for Billy, 2 for you. It's back to Kevin. Yeah.
Pop culture.
Okay. Who did Ronald Reagan defeat in 1980 during the presidential election?
Jimmy Carter.
Jimmy Carter. Good job, dude. Now, to your guys' defense, Kevin plays every week. He's pretty good at trivia at this point.
I'm glad I didn't have that one. I was going to say Walter Mondale, but it wasn't he like.
He was a vice president. He was
vice president. Oh, yeah. Okay.
All right. So let's see. We're back to Billy. What do you want to do, Billy?
Let's do pop culture.
What famous cola company changed its formula in 1985?
Oh man, I love this story. I bring it up all the time at work. Coke.
Really?
Coke. New Coke was the one they brought out. That's it.
Yeah.
Hey,
unfortunately, they didn't put cocaine. New Coke would have worked if they'd have put cocaine back in it.
Hey, to me, New Coke tastes like Pepsi. So when New Coke came out, I'm like, oh, this tastes like Pepsi. It's not Coke anymore.
So I can build on that one a little bit. Do you know why they changed it?
No. Why was that?
Because the Pepsi Challenge was kicking their ass. The Pepsi Challenge marketing campaign was destroying Coke's market share. And so in a scramble to do something, they came up with New Coke. And shit the bed and rolled around in it with that plan.
Wow.
Man,
Wow.
I wonder how much a 6-pack of new Coke unopened is worth now.
Right.
Well, that's why they call Coke now. It's Coca-Cola Classic because they went back to
Yeah.
the old.
Right.
Good one, Newell. See? The youngster knows.
There you go.
All right. All right. So that was, let's see. Who got that one right?
Billy.
Billy? No. Yeah, Billy got it right. And you didn't steal it, so it's back to Newell, right? Okay, Newell, what do you want to do, bud?
Let's go pop culture.
Pop culture. Okay, here we go. Dolly Parton, Jane Fonda, and Lily Tomlin starred in what movie together in the 1980s?
I can see it in my head, but I have
Also, the hit song that came out of that movie.
I have no idea.
That goes way back for you weren't born yet, I don't think, man. Kevin, what do you think?
9 to 5.
9 to 5. That's the one.
Yeah.
All right.
Slam dunk on that one. Yep.
All right, Kev, you're looking pretty solid at 4, and it's your turn again.
BMX.
BMX. 1986. What company made the 800P?
Skyway.
Your turn, Billy. You can steal.
Red line.
Red line. Red line
I
made
knew
the
that. I
800P.
knew that.
My first red line that showed up that I picked up that was my first bike was a turquoise 800P.
All right. So, hey, quick question, Billy. Do you think that part of the reason that Redline was was not thinking forward was because of all the effort they were putting on the freestyle side of BMX, or did that matter at all?
No, I think that Lynn was very proud of his innovations, and he was extremely proud of the craftsmanship in those frames, which rightfully so. I mean, that's the one thing that I always say when I, talk about the free agent limo or my dislike of a 5-inch head tube and some of the geometry, is that the fabrication was so far better, so far above everything that was available at the time. And I think Lynn missed the mark on, as the sport was evolving, that people wanted more for the bike to ride and evolve like the sport was going. They cared more about that than they cared about how stellar the fabrication was. Because, hey man, if it stays together, it stays together.
There you go.
So anyhow, I think that was the main thing. I mean, I tried, but I was a 16, 17-year-old kid. And what did I know, at the time? So.
That's all right, man. I was 16. I was pretty much an idiot.
Yeah. I say that sarcastically, but because I knew exactly what I wanted. But he wouldn't. But he wouldn't make it for me. So and that was fine. I mean, it's his company, not my company. So, it is right.
So yeah. I got the next question goes to Billy. Then, so Billy, you're at 3. Kevin's at 4. Newell's at 1. Newell, you're not doing too bad because you're not Generation X. So you're doing all right, dude. So what do you think, Billy?
Let's try BMX.
BMX, all right. Haro RS1, as tested in BMX action in 1986, had a price point of $379, $479, or $299.
I'll go with $299.
Oh, Newell, this is your chance, bud. What do you think? You want the options again?
Yeah, I'm thinking the cheaper, the three. Was it $379? You said.
That's the right answer, my dude. $379, and that was the RS1 was the top of the line too, and the price point on it was $379. I don't know if that was retail because I actually had that bike, and I feel like I paid more for that bike when it came out for sure. But that's what the BMX action had shown for.
Yeah. See, being a factory rider back in the day, I never bought a bike, so I don't know what they cost.
Oh, poor Billy. Never had to practice.
Hey, Billy, what factory team gave you the most love?
In like, I mean, as far as like getting paid or like the most bikes or
Anything? If you would,
like,
looking back, which
overall, I mean, I think, well, they were all, every team I rode for was good. I mean, save for Iron Horse, that was kind of one of those deals where, like it was really late. Haro had been so like the deal at Haro just kind of up and ended because they were selling the brand and like, there was all kinds of disarray and I got left out in the cold. So like the one I can tell you for sure that was like, I got promised Pam Anderson and they delivered Phyllis Diller was Iron Horse. But I think that overall the best ride that I had probably was Mongoose.
I was gonna say Mongoose.
Because what was so bitching about Mongoose was that Skip Hess still owned it the whole time I rode for them. In fact, it only ended because Skip sold it. But they built me custom bikes. I have a one of one Mongoose Californian Pro Class frame to this day that I won 16 Expert at the Grands on. And I still have it because it's just so different. It still has a loop tail on it, but it doesn't have that rectangular tube behind the bottom bracket that the chain stays connect to. It's just got two stays going straight into the bottom bracket.
Is that the one?
Looks more like a hutch, with the loop tail and the.
I think it was BMX Action. They have a photo of you on a Mongoose, and you're totally clicked out, and you're doing a one.
Yeah, that's the bike. That's the bike. And at the time in that photo, it's got a Mongoose or a Diamondback fork on it. And the reason for that is because the fork was also custom on that frame, not just the frame, but the fork was shorter with less offset because the head tube was steeper.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the way that works. The steeper the head tube is, the less offset the fork should have to keep the trailer right. And I had bent the fork, and so the only fork, since it was a custom fork and I only had one, they were in process of making me another one. And so in the meantime, a Diamondback fork was the closest thing geometry wise that would work. And so I put that on there. And I don't think I even considered that the day I went to Colossus, again, a spot we talked about earlier, and did that photo shoot with Steve Giberson. And he had pointed it out at one point. Hey, you got to why is there a Diamondback fork on your bike? I was like, oh man. So sure enough, that photo ran 2-page color and I got a Diamondback fork on mine. That's obvious because Mongoose forks have an inline dropout. But yeah, I think Mongoose overall was I mean, the 2 summer tours I did, teammates with John Tomac, teammates with Eric Roop, and just the way that they took care of their riders, Mongoose was awesome. It was an awesome ride. I would have never left if it would have kept going. I mean, I left because they sold the company and there was no further opportunities for me. So,
Damn, that was a great question, Kev.
Redline the SBS years were really good.
Dude, Danny, you're
the Redline SBS. Yeah.
Danny, your knowledge is me sometime, man. Wow.
Oh yeah, dude. I have all these images in my head. Like I could think of a million shots Billy's in. It's because I used to read the magazines over and over and over and over. So
we may have to change the podcast of the BMX pros, dude. I mean, that was a man. You know what you're talking about.
That was a great. So on the so with Billy, I'm sorry, no, Newel stole that. So it's back to Newel again. So this is your chance to close the gap, Newel. What do you want to try?
Looks like you're reading out of 86 magazine. So let's go BMX.
I got a really good BMX one for you, bud. I know you're going to get this one. Are you ready?
All right.
You to finish this product name, blank angle.
Quad angle.
There you go, my dude. All right.
Yeah.
That gets you in there.
Softball. You're just trying to keep me involved.
Hey, I got to put easy ones in there too. As long as there's going to be hard ones and easy ones.
I actually got a couple of them up back there on the wall. So newer ones, not old ones.
Nice. Right.
All right. So Kev, what do you want to do, bud?
BMX.
BMX. Here we go. All right. In 1986, this bicycle company had a bike that came in these specific colors. But I want you to tell me what company made it. Okay.
Yeah.
The bike came in pink, baby blue, violet, and black. Which company made this bike, and do you know what it was?
It sounds like a GT Performer.
Ooh, good guess, but that's not the right answer. Can you steal it, Billy?
Absolutely. It was Hutch.
It was Hutch. It was the Hollywood Hutch series.
It was, and the black was futuristic black.
Futuristic black. Yeah, that's what it was.
For the bonus point. For the bonus point.
Yeah. The blue one was the Judge, right, Danny?
Yeah, the Judge came in white and blue, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I don't know if it came in chrome, but I know that, that was the Hutch Hollywood series, though. But futuristic black, Billy, I didn't write that down because I was getting tired of writing stuff down. I'm like, I'm just going to put black.
Yeah. I got to be pretty friendly with the Hutch team. I did a South Africa trip with them in 1985. The distributor in South Africa distributed Mongoose and Hutch, and they brought a bunch of us over for like just some demo races and whatever, a series of races. And actually when Mongoose, I'm on Mongoose at the time, and it wasn't long after that, the end of that year, that the Mongoose ride dried up, and I almost rode for Hutch.
Wow.
So came very, very close to riding for Hutch.
Yeah, we talked.
Came very close, but then the red line, because Mongoose folded up, and that was news. I mean, they were sold and they were gone, and so Redline and Hutch were basically the serious rides that came my way. That I ultimately chose Redline, but Hutch was close.
Wow.
Yeah,
that would have been cool to see Billy Griggs on a Hutch, man. You know what? I know we got to stick. We got to stick to this, but when you mentioned that you and Mike King being on the same team, I was like, damn, that's like Jordan and Pippen. That would have been badass.
yeah, that would have been fun. I wish that would have happened.
Hey, if you were on Hutch, what would you have raced which frame would you have raced? Do you have a preference?
I'd have had to make me my own.
That sounds like a super great answer.
I think of the two, I probably liked the Hollywood better than the Judge.
That seems to be like a super popular one right now for the reach.
Yeah.
All
right. So let's see. Yeah. Technically, Billy's turn. Billy, you stole that. You just tied Kevin. You're both at 4. Newell's at 3. Yep. What do you want to do?
Let's go pop culture.
All right. Here we go. Who won the heavyweight title at the age of 20 in 1986?
Mike Tyson.
Mike Tyson. Good one. All right. Looking good. Go ahead, Kev.
Do you know who he beat?
It was Trevor Berbick, I think.
Trevor Berbick, dude.
Yeah. I didn't even write that down. That was off the top of my head. Pretty good.
I like the bonus points there, Kev. I like the bonus point. You should get 0.5 for the bonus.
0.5, dude.
Yeah. I've been lazy, Billy. I usually throw in bonus questions, but I've been like, oh man, I got to come up with like 30 questions for this thing, and so I haven't been doing it lately. Sorry, Kev, I dropped the ball.
No, go ahead.
All right, okay, so let's see. So that was Kevin. You got that right?
Yeah, Newell's turn.
Oh, well, actually, it's Billy's, isn't it?
Yeah, that's mine. So that was mine. Kevin threw in who he beat.
Right. That's what.
So Newell. Let's go. What do you got, Newell?
Yeah, what do you want to do?
Pop culture. This one.
Pop culture. Okay. In 1984, which toy had the tagline "More than meets the eye"?
More than Transformers.
Transformers. Good job.
Good job, dude. I didn't know that one. I didn't know that one at all.
That was a hard one.
Nice. No.
All right, Kev.
All right. Pop culture.
Pop culture. Nobody puts baby in a corner is a line from what movie?
Dirty Dancing.
Dirty Dancing. That was an easy one for Kev. Kev's a Dirty Dancing fan.
Yeah.
Not really. Not really.
I'm just messing with you, Kev.
But Homegirl with a smoke show, though, I'll give her that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Jennifer Grey, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. She should have left her nose alone. I liked it when it was crooked.
She should have kept it all stock, dude. All the aftermarket parts are not working.
All right, Billy, back to you, bud.
All right. Let's go BMX. I'm trying to just keep my luck alive and alternating, so giving myself a fair shot. Let's go with BMX.
All right. In 1986, what company made the Woody Itzen bars?
In 1986?
Mm-hmm.
Not 1983?
Could have been 85 because I pulled it out of an 86 magazine. So
Okay,
85.
well, because I've got two answers for you that are both right, but it depends on the year that you're asking.
I pulled it out of a magazine from 1986.
Okay, so then in 1986 it should have been Hutch.
Hutch is the correct answer. All right. What was the other one, Billy?
Yeah, that bar but that bar started with VDC.
Oh, I didn't know that.
VDC made the first Woody Itzen bar. Yeah, so that's the first Woody bar, and then Hutch just copied the exact Woody bar, and they might have done something a little bit different to it, but it's essentially the same. But I have a pair of version 1 VDC Woody Itzen freestyle bars.
Bitchin', man.
Yeah, dude,
Yeah.
that is amazing.
Yeah.
All right, so going back to Newell. You're up, bud. What do you want to do?
Pop culture again.
Oh, he's feeling comfortable in pop culture. Here we go. One-Eyed Willie is a pirate from what 80s movie?
The Goonies.
The Goonies. Uh-oh. He's coming on strong, guys. Brings it up. That's 5 for Newell, 5 for Kevin, and 6 for Billy as we're going around
Newell's
again.
pulling, man. He's pulling down the last straight.
He just had to get warmed up, man. That's all it was.
Yep. Yeah,
I came and flipped out of the gate, but I clicked that back in.
There you go.
Flipped the pedal.
All right, Kev.
You know, Willie was my nickname when I was in the Marine Corps. So you can call me Willie.
One-Eyed Willie.
One-Eyed Willie. BMX.
BMX. What Huffy rider won the #1 title during the 1985 ABA Grands? Who won the #1 title? It was a Huffy rider. Amateur #1 title.
I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, sorry. I had to rephrase.
Mike King.
Oh, good guess, but that's a miss. Billy, what do you think?
What title?
The #1 amateur title in 1985 for the ABA. Who won the title? Huffy rider.
Oh, I know.
Brent Romero.
Brent Romero. That's the guy who did it.
Damn it.
Mike King won. Dude, Kev, you're so close. Mikey won it in '84 on Huffy.
Yeah, you were super close. That's why I said it was a good answer. And hey, the one thing I was always impressed by Mike is winning the amateur title in '87 and then turning around and winning the pro title in '88. That was
100%. Yeah.
That was big.
Your trivia question for the next time, you could say who else was able to ever do that, because one other rider did do that after Mike King.
Let me see if I know that, because I think I know that.
Let's see that. Let me hold on.
It was it Townsend?
Nope.
No, not Townsend. Okay. I know there's somebody else who did it too.
Yep. I'll give it to you. Robert McPherson. No, Robert McPherson.
Yeah.
Who did he ride for?
Yeah. Mongoose.
Mongoose, okay.
He was one that, wasn't he kind of like a good amateur but a great pro?
Yeah, he was, and then he disappeared for a number of years.
Yeah.
He disappeared for a number of years and then came back, and pretty much out of nowhere, like his second season back, he came back like mid-season, 94, and then 95 won the amateur title, 96 won the pro title.
Damn, dude was a monster, man. All right, well, Billy, you stole that, so technically it's your turn.
Okay, let's go back to pop culture.
All right, here we go. I'm going to give you, I want you to complete the title of this movie. Are you ready?
Yep.
Blank and blank excellent adventures.
Bill and Ted.
Bill and Ted. There you go. Good job. Uh-oh, Billy's pulling a little bit, guys. As we're going around, it's 8 to 5 to 5. All right, Newel.
Let's go with pop culture again.
All right. Before Back to the Future, Michael J. Fox was famous for what TV show?
Family Ties.
Family Ties. Look at this dude, man.
Nice.
Well, another coincidence is that it's right here in City of Industry where they're holding the National. That's where they filmed Back to the Future.
Damn, I didn't know that, dude.
And then, right at the mall, at that mall.
And then actually, for the National, we got together with the city and we actually did a BMX spoof for Back to the Future, and it's going to be coming out in the next couple of days. I dropped a little teaser today, but we actually did a BMX version of Back to the Future. It's coming out.
Oh, dude, you have to send me the link. I need to see that.
It's going to be all over when we drop it.
And Justine Bateman was at the War of the Stars in Azusa in '85.
Her and her brother.
Yeah.
No
with
way.
the Larry Wilcox, BMX of the Stars race or whatever, something or other.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Would have known that.
What year was that? Was that 85 or 84?
84.
Okay.
Who had to be.
You obviously you were there. You would have been 17X.
No, he was young.
No, I'm younger than that. In '84. I was 15. I turned 16 in September of '84. So that was a spring race, if I remember right. So I was probably still 15 on Mongoose.
Okay, I was 17X at that race, and I can't. You wouldn't happen to know who won 17 over X, would you?
No.
Okay.
No.
It's in the magazine somewhere. I'll guarantee you that.
Yeah. But Larry Wilcox didn't, if I remember right, Larry Wilcox, John Baker crashed and had to get hauled out on an ambulance.
I think he broke his collarbone at that race or something.
Yeah, the standard BMX injury, right?
Yeah, that's crazy. All right, so let's see. So
Adam
that was
Rich at that same time?
What's that?
Was Adam Rich at that race?
I'm not sure. I don't really remember him being there. I know Eight's Enough, the young kid from Eight's Enough. I don't know if he was there or not, though.
That's crazy.
Seems like it would have been right.
All right, whose turn is it? No, Newell got that one. So we're at Newell's got 6. Kevin, you have 5. Billy has 8. So you're sitting in third, my dude. You gotta tie Newell on this one. What do you want to do?
Pop culture.
All right. Tommy used to work on the docks is a lyric from what song?
Living on a Prayer.
Living on a Prayer. When I saw you had a music one coming up, I go, damn, you're really good at music. So
Yeah.
All right, Billy, what do you want to do?
Let's go back to BMX.
All right, we got one pop culture left, just so you guys know, and the rest is BMX. Here we go. In 1980, at the 1985 Grands, let's see, what legendary rider was inducted into the Hall of Fame at the 1985 AVA Grands? Early.
So that would be the very. So that's the very first induction.
Yes.
That's the very first year, and Stu Thompson was inducted, and David Clinton was inducted, and Lynn Caston was inducted.
Jesus, I only needed David Clinton, but thank you.
You're almost right, Billy. Stu didn't get it first year.
No, second year.
Oh, am I wrong on that? Stu's a second. Stu was 86.
It was. Don't tell me. It was.
You got it right. But
Bobby Encinas?
No,
Bobby Encinas?
No.
you already said the answer. You guys heard it. Go back to his answer.
No, it was Lynn Caston, David Clinton, and another guy that raced the 76 Gold Cup. I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
Botima?
Was the year they got inducted.
Yeah.
So it was let me see, I'll tell you guys.
Man.
He nailed the David Clinton, but it was a legendary in his own time. You may not remember this guy, but we do. Dave Clinton was the man back in the days in Saddleback Corona in Western Sportsorama. At the banquet that Thursday before the Grands, the ABA recognized Clinton for his early critness in BMX by entering him into their BMX Hall of Fame. Redline owner Lynn Caston and another racing pioneer by the name of John George.
John George.
Yeah.
Oh, John George. There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. John George, the reason for the Mongoose Moose Goose. Danny Oakley tries to take credit for that, but that bike was done for John George.
Wow. Dude, Billy's knowledge is nuts.
The mongoose stuff. I can't believe I missed John George, but I got down the red line track with Lynn, and I had just gotten on red line in October of that year, and so I was super nervous because I just got on red line, and here it is 2 months later, and I'm at the Hall of Fame dinner, and Lynn's being inducted, and for some reason I thought Stu was going in too, but that was just that red line connection, even though Stu was already on Huffy at that point.
Pretty good, man. You still got
a lot of broken helmets. A lot of broken helmets over the years. Some of that information gets a little crossed up once in a while.
All right, so we're looking pretty good. Billy got that one. Technically, that puts him to 9. We're going back to Newell. What do you want to do?
I guess I'll take that last pop culture.
All right, here we go. Yippee-ki-yay, mother effer, is from what movie?
Oh, I know this.
You got to know it, dude.
It's what's his name? Bruce Willis. It's Die Hard.
Die Hard. Good job. All right. Okay, guys. So that brings Newell to 7 after that round. Kevin, you're sitting 6. Billy's sitting 9. So we're going all BMX for the rest of the way out. So you ready, bud?
Yep.
All right. All right. Here we go. Let's see. Here we go. What company made the Mohawk hubs?
GT.
GT. Good job. All right. Okay. Let's see. Billy, you're next. Here we go.
Yep.
What pro won the 1986 Nora Cup? What pro won the 1986 Nora Cup in BMX action?
Pete Lonkarevich.
That's a miss. Finally, Billy, I got Billy on one. What do you think, Newell? Do you have any idea?
Mike Miranda.
I got
Mike Miranda. Oh, sorry. I forgot about the steal.
It was Mike Miranda.
I wouldn't have got that.
That's all right. Billy was not to be denied, dude. He goes, I know the answer. All right, nobody gets that one. Okay. All right, so Newell, it's back to you, man. Are you ready for this one? It's all BMX from here. You ready?
Let's hit it.
All right. What do Matt Hayden and Doug Davis have in common?
Matt Hayden and Doug Davis. I would think maybe they rode for the same team.
Okay. Keep going.
What team would it have been? Got to be early. Matt Hayden, Haro.
Oh, it's a miss. What do you think, Kev?
Diamondback.
Diamondback. All right. Good one. Okay. Kevin, that brings you to 8. It's back to you again, sir. Here we go. The number 1 team for the 1986 Nora Cup was won by who? Number 1 team.
86?
1986.
I'm sorry, you broke up. 86, Danny?
1986. You got it, bud.
Okay. Diamondback.
Diamondback. All right. Good job, Kev. All right, Billy, here we go. Kevin's fighting. All right. The 1986 Nora Cup #1 bike was won by who?
GT.
Oh, it's a miss. Newell, what do you think?
86, 86.
#1 bike.
Maybe we should go 86. It wasn't GT. I'm going to. Haro? Let's try Haro.
Miss. What do you think, Kevin?
Diamondback.
Oh, it was Hutch, guys. Hutch won the #1
Oh, man, I thought I had it. I thought I had it.
I did the same thing. I did the same thing I did with Mike Miranda after I said Pilon Karavich, but I didn't blurt it out. I knew it as soon as I didn't say it.
That was a good year for Hutch. #1 rider, #1 bike. Yeah. But Diamondback took the #1 team. I think GT at one point won all 3 categories. They got the bike, the rider, and the team at one point. I forgot what year that was though.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did Diamondback win Nora Cup team like 3 years in a row?
Yeah, they won it 3 times in a row. Yeah. They dominated in the 80s. I think it was a lot to do with their marketing, man. They were just, everybody knew what Diamondback was, even non-BMXers, like Mongoose,
All right.
All right, so we're moving on. Let's see. Newell, it's your turn, I believe, right? Because it was the question was originally Billy's. Nobody got it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, this one might be a little hard for you, but here we go. The one-hander, one-footer is known as the
one-hander, one-footer.
Yeah, it was named after a BMX pro. One hand, one foot.
No,
It might be hard. That's like clear back to maybe 83. That's going to be a little hard for you.
No clue.
Kev, what do you think?
The Henderson?
The Henderson. Good job. Good job, dude. That was going way back.
Epic photo of him on Raleigh doing it, and he looks like he's about to crash doing it. Like it doesn't look cool. It looks like survival.
Yeah.
The way the hand and the foot are just hanging off.
Yeah. I think the story behind that was they told him to do something different or something like that, and he just went for it. Yeah. Yeah,
the image that it is probably the first one he did, right? Like, because it's just not very refined.
Little sketchy.
Yeah.
All right, but pretty cool. All right, so let's see. Kevin, great job. That brings you to 10. It's back to Billy. Here we go, Billy.
No. That was
my question.
Okay, Kev. It's your turn. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. This 1986 famous freestyler, Martin Aparijo, rode for what team? It was 1986.
Diamondback.
Oh, it's a miss. What do you think, Billy?
GT.
You rode for GT. All right.
That's that Brian Skura, some of that Brian Skura history right there. Brian Martin was another guy that Brian Skura discovered that he fed the GT.
Nice.
Oh, all right, cool.
Nice.
Okay, so this is going to Billy. It's your turn. You ready, my man?
Okay.
All right, here we go. In 1986, Chicken George Sievers and Sean Texas were teammates for what team?
CW.
CW, and that concludes the game. Billy wins 11-10. Kevin, that was good.
Clutch, dude.
Good job, man.
Yeah, that was
the clutch steal at the end.
Yeah, that was awesome. So Billy got the win with 11. Kevin picked up 10 for second. Newell, an impressive 7, playing out of his generation. He did great.
Yeah.
He did great.
Yeah.
Newell snuck into pro practice, man.
You want to just leave Billy on for a minute so Newell can talk about what's going on? I'm sure we're
maybe Billy can add some stuff to him. So
yeah, I would love it. I mean, Newell's one of my dudes, man. Like we know each other, so this is I'm happy to stay on if you guys are willing to have me.
Absolutely.
Awesome. All right, Newell, go ahead. Take it away.
Tell us what you're doing, bro.
Oh, where do we start? I guess we'll start with Whittier. So as of January 7th, so kind of backtrack a little bit. Whittier was ran by Roland. Roland ran the track for many. Actually, it can go way even further back. I started racing Whittier in '93. From '93 to about '98, when the original guy who built it, Frosty, he was a minor league baseball player. He's in like the Hall of Fame for minor leagues, hitting the most home runs in the minor leagues, like 60 home runs in 1 year. So then when he retired, he was a school bus driver. Then he started this BMX track. I think in 1990, nobody really, maybe Billy knows, but I even asked Gork and he wasn't even sure. But somewhere around 1990. So then I started racing there in 93, which was funny because actually Whittier was, even for 93 standards, Whittier was pretty antiquated track. When I first started riding there, the last turn was still a flat turn. There was no berm. Wow. The last turn. Yeah. And very old school. It's, I think it was like 7 berms or 6 berms and 7 straightaways. It was very old school.
With that many obstacles, do you know what the length of the track was? Is that like 1,500 feet or?
It was really long. But
it sounds very long.
Yeah, but I mean, it was an old school track. So it was like 1 berm, 1 jump, just one jump, small, really small berms. But yeah, I actually posted on the Whittier page. I had a bunch of pictures from like 94, 93. I posted up on our Instagram page on Whittier, some old school pictures.
And not to interrupt you on this one, Newell, but I think it's super interesting you bring that up because you said 1 turn, 1 jump. And that's kind of how, Billy was raised on that. And that was it requires a massive amount of pedaling as opposed to the manualing and pumping that the riders are doing right now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what do you think, Billy, for you, you're racing now on modern tracks. Is it a hard adjustment? I mean, for you to go from pumping from pedaling to pumping?
Yeah, it's interesting because there's so many old school people that despise what BMX has evolved into, and over the years, I occasionally get tagged and pulled into different threads online about like Eric Rube still races and he raced back in the day, and I'm racing again and I raced back in the day, and for me, what I loved the most about back in the day was that the tracks were not as formulaic. You didn't know what you were going to get. Every track was significantly different, and it tested your skill set in your ability to adapt to something that wasn't right in a lot of cases. A jump, a rhythm section, well, not a rhythm section, but like jumps would have weird lips. Like the NBL was notorious for building lips where the face of the jump, the lip was at the bottom, not the top. And you'd actually take off, and then your back wheel would drag the peak of the jump. And indoor tracks were just ridiculous. They just dropped dirt wherever. So you had to figure stuff out and adapt to stuff that wasn't normal. And that's where all the trail riding that we used to do back in the day, I think paid off. And now the tracks are very formulaic, very standardized. You can pretty much find the same jump on every track nationwide. But there's more jumps. And the one thing that I love the most, I mean, now, I always I get my stat roll of what qualifies my opinion. I respect everybody's opinion. You don't have to like clip it in and micro knobby tires and asphalt turns. You can hate that all you want, but I always qualify my opinion of being the 1983 national number 2 amateur, the 1990 national number 2 AA pro, and then the 2019 NAG 1 51 and over expert. So I've been at the top in a lot of time.
Yeah.
And the sport today puts more emphasis on the rider's skill. And that might contradict what I just said about your ability to adapt to odd stuff back in the day. But in a lap, it's about the rider skill. Strength and speed and power still matters a ton. The first straight is still very similar to how it used to be. But ultimately, the best rider from a skill standpoint wins today, not the guy who does the most squats. That's true from
good point.
And back in the day, that's all that was. That's why you saw a lot of PEDs back in the day in the mid 80s, and people were not riding very well. Guys that were winning, the guys that won the most titles back in the day were not the best bike riders. They were the best athletes. And I don't know. I think that today I like it a lot better because of the skill that's required. And, I rode tracks back in the day with my eyes closed, and not literally, but you get the the point. And today, man, I have to really lock in and pay attention to what's going on and what sequence of jumps is ahead of me, because there's so many, it's hard to keep track sometimes. And that's a skill set in itself. So today, BMX today wins over the past, 80s and 90s, the evolutionary time. Great time. I love it. I love being part of it. I love the rider that it helped me be today. But I was pro in the wrong decade, man. For me personally, I wish I could have been pro in the in the 2010s, man, because as the sports evolved, or even right now, but
that's super interesting that you said that. I had never heard somebody from the 80s say that, so that's really interesting that you brought that.
Yeah, I mean, people always say, "Oh, BMX is totally different. It's not the same at all." And it's like, well, if that was true, I wouldn't be any good at it. You have to have been good at one point, but I've seen people come back and maybe not adapt as well to what the sport is. And if you go back and look at what their style or skill set ability, you look at, was their success based more on, being in the gym a lot, or riding steep hills a lot? And the guys that were winning and that were the guys that won the most and won the most titles were guys that were not the guys that were riding the trails. They were the guys that were in the gym every day and doing whatever they were doing to be superhuman strong. And it's just, nowadays it's so much more about how well you ride your bike. And that's what I love the most about it. That's why I keep doing it, because it constantly pushes me to be better on my bike, where all through my pro career in the 80s, I was yawning at the tracks that I raced from a skill standpoint.
Wow. So for Newel, if I throw that question back to you, man, you started in the 90s. So was it an easier transition for you to move into what the sport is today?
Honestly, it was 25 years before I got on a bike again. But having bike skills, even like what Billy was saying, once you acquire those bike skills, even like they say, riding a bike, 20 years from now, you could kind of pick up on the basics, the pumping and just getting around the track. But nowadays, the skill level is through the roof. What these kids can, as soon as they get 13 years old, these kids are ridiculously fast. The skills that they could, you look at a modern day BMX race, people say, oh, those are pump tracks. Man, those doubles are deep. You're hitting those things at full speed, because nowadays we don't use the brakes. You're just going fast as you can. You're going to run straight into this jump, and you either jump it, or you better manual it, or you're going to launch off and hit the other end of the double. So these kids, the way they tap manual, the speeds are ridiculous. And that's kind of the downfall at the same time, is the speeds are so fast, you can't be as aggressive on the track itself. These guys are doing 30 miles an hour on the supercross tracks. You're not going to be banging cars at 30 miles an hour, or somebody's going to get hurt and break something off. Yeah. That's where for sure. Not to take
off, Newel, but do you think that's what creates the single file racing, is because of the fear of hurting each other at that speed?
At some point, the kids, even now, it comes into the last turn, if they're going to make a move, they'll make the move for sure. But it's definitely going down a straightaway. You're not trying to take somebody out down a straightaway for sure, because somebody's going to get hurt really bad if they head first face into a jump going 20-something miles an hour. And you're clipped in too. You can't come and clip fast enough to get out of it.
There's definitely some etiquette. I know with the pros and some of the ability I've had being teammates with top pros to talk about it. There's on the big hills, on the 8-meter hills, and how fast they're going. There's definitely some etiquette those guys have to kind of look out for each other a little bit. So, in the 80s with tracks being super tight and people being on flat pedals and it being essentially the hockey of cycling back then, it just, sure, I guess that made better racing in a way, but like I never was a fan of people running into each other and calling that good racing. Like, a little bit of nudge or a little bit of, high-lowing somebody and like fading out on them and taking their line on the corner exit, stuff like that. That's gamesmanship. I was never a fan of just cleaning people out. I mean, I would do it if I needed to because that's the way you played the game. But I think nowadays with racing, back then you used to be able to do a lot more aggressive stuff in the corners because one, you were sitting down in the corners and you weren't pedaling through them, because now we have corners you can just pedal through. Not the indoor races. The indoor races still have a lot of aggression in the corners. But, nowadays you don't sit down around the corner. Like, sure, there's a lot of, I love it when I hear, oh, you don't have to pedal anymore. It's just all pump track. It's like, were you actually there in the 80s? Do you remember when your seat post was 14 inches tall, like a road bike? and you coasted around the corner sitting on your seat and you weren't pedaling? Nowadays, there is no break in the corner. The corners are big enough. There's enough grip that if you're not on it all the way through the corner, like, you don't get to take a break in the corner anymore. You'll get eaten up because people don't have to run into you because the corners are big enough. They'll just ride right around you. So, like, it's great to listen to people that hate on the sport, the modern day sport, so much, that have never done it. They just see it and they think what they think. And, you see this in motocross, you see it in NASCAR, where somebody was a fan of the sport or did it at a time in their life where, you're a teenager, and when you're a teenager, pretty much everything rules, right? Everything's bitching. It's like the best time of your life. And then when you're 30 years down the line and, you don't like your boss, your wife's yelling at you, your kids are being brats, and you just are like trying to find a way to escape from that. And you want to go watch BMX because BMX was bitching when I did it 30 years ago. And you look at BMX today and you go, what is this? I don't recognize it. What's with these disco shoes and no knobby tires and all this asphalt and all these jumps? That's the one that always gets me the most. I can't imagine any real BMX person, real true enthusiast, think that more jumps is bad on a track.
Yeah.
That's all I ever wanted at the peak of my career was more jumps. Can we just have more jumps? And, so I don't know. It's just, there's so much more behind every single salty old dude talking shit on modern day BMX. There's just so much more to it. It's like, maybe if you did it, you would have a different opinion, or maybe not. I mean, because depending on what your ability is.
I could say this, Billy, and I've said this before on previous podcasts, is, I've raced as early as 82, and I raced, up to two or 3 years ago, I was still racing. Me and Kevin are practicing now so we can start racing again. And I got to tell you, man, it feels the same to me. I got tired. I pedal.
Yeah.
Get winded. The feelings are the same. So I know the riding's different, and I know it's a lot different. And it was, like you said, it was an adjustment when I first came back to racing, because I stopped in 99 and then I came back again in 2012. And by that time they were doing the random start, and that was throwing me off. I couldn't get the timing down. So it was an adjustment, like you said, but now BMX, it's just BMX to me now. It is what it is now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm sorry, Newel, we're taking up your time.
Yeah. You gotta get back to Newel.
Sorry about that.
No, this is a huge debate kind of in the scene. for sure. The old guys and the young generation. I mean, the best thing I can say is old guys, come to the track, come ride the track. I'll give you a 1-day membership. I'll throw you on a cruiser and you can cruise around. No problem.
Yeah.
But I mean,
and Whittier.
Yeah, that's the closest thing.
Whittier in its current configuration and surface, Whittier is the track. Like if you're from the 80s or early mid 90s and you want to try riding again and you're in SoCal, I mean, Whittier's the track to go to, because that's going to be the closest in its current configuration and how it's been for a while. It's going to be the closest thing to a 90s track. I mean, if you've got an old bike and you want to ride with knobbies, you got a chromoly bike or whatever, and Whittier's a great track to come out and reintroduce yourself to BMX, because it still, even though the jump sequencing is bigger and it's got the modern, start system and all that, you can still assimilate. Like right before my 92 Haro went to Tulsa, I had taken it out to Whittier in 2019 and did put the whole display that's in Tulsa, I put on that gear, that helmet, rode that bike for some laps around at Whittier during a Dorsey Cup. And I did that. Brian Dorsey was announcing the Dorsey Cup race there. And, I did it to kind of honor his mom, who had in 92 been the premier NBL announcer and had announced me, racing AA on that bike in that gear. And so I came out, just kind of surprised Brian, did the parade lap and had him do a pretend announcing like his mom would do, and announce some ghost riders on the parade lap and stuff. And it was a really cool deal. But the thing was after the race was over, I kept riding the bike out there for a while, because that bike on that track felt good. So again, Newel, to the point of getting some old people to come out and you having the race on April, what's the date again on 18th. That?
Yeah.
April 18th.
A retro revival.
Yeah. I mean, the track, like I said, the way it is perfect track for that. Because even what they do now, like Frogtown and Dirty Fest, those tracks are, they're trying to encompass too much of the eras. And, there were no downhill tracks really in the 90s or even in the late 80s. If you did, it was a fluke. It wasn't but they do these downhill tracks because of the location, but also because, it gives a nod to the 70s, the Coronas and the Weinert Mountains and all that stuff. But for guys our age, say our age, I'm going to say 50 to 55. If you raced in the 80s, you didn't really race on downhill tracks. So Whittier is the most like an 80s track, mid 80s, mid late 80s track that I can think of to go race those bikes on. Yeah. So
awesome. So you're gonna have this vintage race, Newel, on a modern day track, essentially.
Pretty much. So what happened is we did on our, obviously I've loved Dirty Fest, man. I've been going every year since it started. I collect old mid-school bikes. I have a bunch of Power Lights and GTs and stuff, so I collect those. So as soon as I heard about Dirty Fest being so close, I got to go. So then I got my team members at the time, and I gave them all bikes, all the kids and everything. And even the young kids now, they love Dirty Fest because it's such a different type of riding. It's so laid back and chill. The jumps are they're fun and easy. And then it's downhill, so you're not tiring yourself out. You're floating down the hill. And so when I did it the first year, I think I had back-to-back motos. So I went all the way down the hill. Actually, I went halfway down the hill in my cruiser main, ate crap on my face, and then ran back up the hill. They were waiting for me in the gate, and I just got in the gate and went down the hill again. So the kids they said this is more fun than regular BMX racing because it's just so more chill and laid back. When there's no racing going on, people just jump on the track and start riding, and it's just a totally different atmosphere than a regular national event. So it's something really cool. So I kind of wanted to get that feeling again. So when we did our grand opening race a couple of Saturdays ago, we did a vintage class. So we had 3 classes of vintage bikes. So we had they're all pre-99 bikes. So we had a 30 and over 99, and then I think I had 13 to 30-year-olds, and then 12 and under kids. And I brought out like 10 of my vintage bikes, and then some people brought out their own bikes, and they did racing, and we had side hacks. I got a couple side hacks, and some other people brought some side hacks. My friend from San Diego came all the way up and brought his side hack. So, I mean, the kids loved it. The kids loved actually riding the vintage bikes. Like the Thursday before, I brought them out to try them out, and they rode the whole practice on them. I had a Power Light and like a 90s GT, and they were ripping on the things, man. They were tripling things and doubling, and
that was one of my favorite things. One of my favorite things was watching present day national caliber riders in their teens, like teenagers, 15, 16, riding those 30-something-year-old bikes, watching today's talent on bikes of the past. And
that was on Facebook, wasn't it, Newell? I'm sorry, Bill. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, I posted it on the Whittier Narrows Instagram and Facebook.
I saw that. I did see those videos. I was like, look at these kids, man. They're riding on bikes that were made before they were born.
Oh, yeah. And it's crazy because they're so much shorter now. And you would think, man.
Yeah, that was the thing. That was the thing I noticed the most. I was just tripping on how short they looked.
Oh, yeah. But no, they were jumping to double manual. I mean, they were doing some. I mean, I got on those things. I was just putting around the tracks like, oh, man, this is kind of sketchy. These knobbies and whatnot. So, yeah, those kids just jumped on. Those kids can ride anything. One of the kids, Chase Eckel, I think he's 11 years old. I had I think it's an 83 Robinson loop-tailed Expert, and it had some janky cranks. It probably hasn't been ridden since the 80s. And it had some power light bars on it, and I was just cruising around in my house like, God, this thing is kind of sketchy. Dude, he was sending the second set down the second straight, jumping the doubles, the huge tables. Like, dude, this kid's nuts jumping this bike. I would not leave the ground on this 80s bike. He's crazy, but they're able to adapt so well on these bikes. But anyway, so we had that race. It went really well. I think we had almost 140 riders come out that night for our grand opening. So building on that, as I know, originally I put on the SoCal National too. So we've been doing that for the last, this will be our 4th year coming up in February. And I wanted it to bring that old school vibe. So each year we've kind of commemorated somebody as a grand marshal or highlighted somebody. Actually, Billy I try to keep somebody that's still in the scene. So Billy, one year we got him on the shirts and highlighted him. Last year we got Stu on the shirts, and he actually started racing again. And then this year's Eric Roop's going to be our grand marshal. So we like to, and then at the same time we had a bike show. So I got hooked up with Mark Darcy at ABSA Pro, and they started doing the bike show there. That was a big hit. So then when I took over the track, the first thing I said, hey, Mark, I'm taking over Whittier. I want to do a show at the track. And he said, yeah, look, we're on it. Let's do it. Yeah. So then we got connected. So we're going to do a big bike show. And then also a race too. So pretty much like a little dirty fest, but just in one day. And then so we're gonna have a bunch of classes. Pretty much right now we have like a 90s class and then pre-80s class. But I posted on there, if you bring a 70s bike out or whatever, a suspension bike, if you got 3 people, we'll make a class out of it. It's just kind of be a free-for-all fun thing. But at the same time, we're gonna have regular racing. So I want the kids that are already racing. We're going to do same thing we did our grand opening. We're going to have regular racing, regular bikes, clips, and everything, and then also the vintage classes. So I'm going to kind of expose both generations to the different types of racing. So it should be a good time. April 18th.
Is there a future in this, guys? Do you think? I mean, because these events are popping up more and more. You know, what do you think, Billy and Newell? Is there a future for vintage racing? Is that going to continue to grow?
For sure. I think it's a lot of these guys.
Yeah, I think so.
That's awesome. I love it, man.
And then we haven't really.
I think so.
Tapped
I mean, if you look at like, there's vintage moto racing, there's vintage drag racing. You know, there's so much. Once a sport is old enough to have 40 or 50 years of history behind it, you can't help but do it, because you've got parents and grandparents now of kids that are racing, and for there to be organized throwback vintage racing, and for the current racer, that's the kid or the grandkid, to be able to see what it used to be like. And even in the situation recently where Newel gave new riders the chance to ride his old bikes, it's just, I think it's very natural that it would happen based on other sports. And it's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing that the sport is already this old, and that this stuff didn't actually start happening sooner.
Yeah, it's hats off to you, Newell, for trying to keep it alive like that, man. That's massive. Because
I get all those credit to the guys at Frogtown and Dirty Fest for sure. They're the pioneers, but I'm just trying to get the newer kids into it, because I mean, just get them on a bike, they're gonna love it, and no matter what, and put them on the flats.
I got a question, Newell, and I know we've been talking a long time, but I'm going to throw this question at you, because recently, in a previous podcast, we were talking about beginner leagues, BMX leagues, and the importance of that for the growth of the sport. How do you feel about those? Is that something that has to happen?
I mean, if you want to grow your track, I mean, you just look at the statistics. The most successful tracks in the nation are doing some type of beginner league, and I've already kind of done that before in the past when Roland was running the track, which actually Roland is still there helping me out, thankfully. He's been around a long time doing it, but he's kind of guiding me through this. But when I first got back into it, I worked for another nonprofit for the police department, the industry sheriff's department, and we do sports programming. And I said, well, man, I got to get these kids into BMX now, because the kids in the local area, South El Monte, La Puente, Rosemead, Montebello, none of these kids even know there's a BMX track locally to them. They don't even know what BMX racing is. Most kids don't even have bikes as much as they did. But I mean, they might have a mountain bike or maybe an e-bike now, but not BMX bikes.
They seem to want to play with scooters more than anything, really.
Yeah.
Hey, Newell, I grew up in South Pasadena, and we used to, I don't know, in elementary school, we would go to Whittier Narrows on field trips. And I look back, I think, man, I wonder what I would have thought if I was going on a Whittier Narrows field trip and I looked over there and go, what the hell is that, man? I want to do that. I've always wondered if it would be possible to have field trips at a track.
Almost. So actually, USA BMX has a program, a STEM program that schools can sign up for. It's pretty cool that they teach kids about they build scale miniature BMX tracks. So part of the programming, it's like a week-long program. They learn about design and build stuff, and so one of the days the school takes them, or they bus them over to the track, and they get to check out a BMX track, and they actually get to ride the track. And then they go back to their schools, and then they build miniature BMX tracks as part of the programming. Yeah, it's really cool. They give them a bunch, 6 bicycles, and they learn how to take apart bikes and put them back together. So it's one of the cool things that USA BMX promotes to get school kids involved.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So anyways,
back
I didn't even know that.
Yeah. They got a lot of programming that people don't even know about. So getting back, I started a police league. So we did baseball, basketball. We did this regular sports, but then I started a BMX kind of a league, and I got hooked up with a Huffy, and I got 14 bikes from Huffy, and we got kids out on the track, and they, after the first day, you got to drag them off the track. They fall in love with it so much, and then it's just built on every year. Just got bigger and bigger, and then last week we just started. We had 33 kids starting the program. So I mean, there's tons of opportunity. The kids will do it if they know it's there. They have the opportunity, and obviously the cost is a big thing. That's why we started now Saturdays for brand new riders. We don't charge them anything. They could just show up in Levi's and a long sleeve shirt. We'll get them a bike, get them a helmet, and we'll just get them on the track.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. I love that, because you never know, dude. There's a Billy Griggs out there that's waiting to be discovered. You know, we just don't know. You got to bring the kids to the track.
There's a Danny Pena out there waiting to be discovered, dude.
Yeah, right.
Future podcaster.
Yeah. No, I've always sort of felt like that. I mean, to echo some of Newell's sentiments, it's getting the exposure in the right places. You know, that's what it is. It's not, oh, BMX isn't what it used to be, or BMX is this or that or whatever. It's just, there's so many, like, you know, in the 80s when the sport was growing like wildfire, it was because there just wasn't enough stuff to do. You know, there wasn't like you skateboarded, or you rode BMX bikes, or maybe if you were lucky, you got to go to the desert and ride dirt bikes. You know, but like there just wasn't as much stuff to do that there is now, and I think it just falls off the radar because it just doesn't have the right exposure, and you know. And Newell's doing a really good job with that.
And there's nowhere to do it nowadays. Everything's built out. Yeah. Back in the day, there'd be empty fields everywhere, and we would just build jumps, and it'd become a spot. Now everything's built out, and now in Southern California, we only got 2 tracks.
Yeah. Wow. And yeah, Sheep Hills was one of like many places, you know, back in the day. Now it's like the only place, really, you know.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a tragedy. Orange County doesn't have a BMX track. You know, that's like,
that's insane to me that it's been 10 years this year. It's a decade now since the end of Orange Y.
Yeah,
that was a big deal. I know I was reading about that. It was a big deal for that track to close. I remember reading about that on social media. Yeah, huge.
It's still there, right? The track is still there, right? The weeds growing around it, but the jump's still there.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd heard somewhere that the whole YMCA and everything got bulldozed.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, that parcel's kind of strange where it's located, like what you could do with it, because it's like back in a neighborhood, right? So it's like, I mean, you can't really you can't put. I don't know what you could build there that would be convenient for the surrounding neighborhood. Because I mean, even back in the day, from when I first started racing there was always very strict stuff because the parking was very hard to come by. You'd have to get there early, and then there was always a lot of complaining and problems with parking in the surrounding neighborhood. You know, because people live right, like it's a regular residential neighborhood, and then all of a sudden there's a track like on a corner of one of the streets. There's the YMCA and the track, and with BMX in the 80s being huge, you know, 90, 100 motos on a weeknight, semis, you know, everything. There was a lot of cars, and people in the neighborhood were pissed.
Yeah, you know? Just like Monrovia, Billy. Do you remember when Monrovia was in a neighborhood too?
100%. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, man. So April 18th, right? No, that's the magic date.
Yep. Yeah, we're gonna start promoting. First, we got the SoCal National coming up in the end of this month, so we're working on promoting that. That video I was talking about, that Back to the Future parody BMX, that should be coming out in the next couple of days here. So we're gonna hit that hard, get people. I actually try to promote it to the local area. You know, it's just not just. The city tries to promote it as just a BMX race. So we put banners up all over the city, and there's no charge to get in. It's free entry, you know, to go watch the racing. So we try to get the community involved to come check out the racing, expose them to that. And then I try to grab them and get them to come out to Whittier.
Nice. If somebody wants to learn more about what you're doing over there, is there a website or where can they get more information?
Yeah, just Whittier Narrows on Instagram and Facebook. I post on there pretty much every day. We always got something going on. So yeah, just follow us on Whittier Narrows BMX on Instagram and Facebook. We're constantly posting up. I got a lot of things in the fire right now. Actually looking at doing a fat boy race. So these kids like they're like miniature BMX bikes with these little 12-inch tires on there. Yeah. And we did our opening race. A lot of the kids they ride them in the parks or whatever. We had like 17 of those kids pop up. So I connected with the guy over at Fat Boy. He's right there, a local distributor. So we're going to try to get that racing going. Just trying to do a bunch of different things to put some energy back into things, you know, build up that rider count and the excitement.
Nice. Okay,
Excellent.
gentlemen, I think we're good, right, Danny?
Yeah, I just want to say one more thing before we close. There was a tragic accident over the weekend at Steel Wheels BMX. Unfortunately, 13-year-old young man got killed at the track. And I just want to send condolences out to his family for Oliver Ball Reed. Unfortunately, he was tragically had a tragic accident at the track. I don't know the details, and I don't really want to say too much about it. I just want to send my condolences to the family and the track in Indiana. Steel Wheels BMX, and really, really hard loss. And no one wants to see a child get hurt. And
likewise.
Yeah, definitely.
Likewise. I didn't know the young man that lost his life, but I do know people involved with the track, and I'm involved with High Five, which Chrissy Piper does, and the people that are involved with running that track, their daughter is 13 and she rides. She's the one High Five rider that we have, and she's very, very good friends with Oliver. And so yeah, I'm a little closer to that situation than most in California, and I appreciate that you said that. It's that you mentioned that. It's a really, really tough scenario. That doesn't happen a lot in BMX. I think, there was one at Rockford a few years back, and during the national, and that's always, that's the last thing anybody thinks is going to happen when they head out to the track for the day. So thank you for mentioning that.
Yeah, good. Thanks for reminding me, Danny. That was cool that you brought that up, man.
No problem. On that note, gentlemen, I need to eat, so let's wrap.
I want to say, so it was a pleasure to meet you.
Likewise.
Newel, it was a pleasure to meet you, man. I'm so glad you came on. Both class acts, thank you so much for joining us. I can't thank you enough. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Billy, thank you, man. You hung in there for damn near 3 hours with us, man, and this is the longest podcast we've ever done. This is going to give us.
We set a record, man.
When you guys said Newell was waiting in the wings, I was hoping I'd get to hang out and pilfer some of his time. So it was a lot of fun.
Nice.
So.
All right, gentlemen. Thank you very much. Have a great night, and let's all go eat.
See you guys at the track.
Right, take care. Right. See you soon, Newell.
All right. Thank you.
Don't hang up yet.
I'm not. I'm with you. All right, my man. That's it. That was a long one, dude. I got text messages and phone calls coming in, man, and my phone died, and I was like, holy moly, we're still going.
Dude, yeah, I gotta go eat, man. Well, dude, have you got any subscribers today?
I can't tell you because my phone died. I have to go back and look.
When this started 2 days ago, did you have any more subscribers?
Oh yeah, I did pretty good. I was at one point I was at 980. I was stuck at like 986, I want to say, and I'm sitting 992 the last time I looked.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I'm like, I put it on Facebook. I'm like, I'm almost there, guys. I only need 8. And so that was. I'm pretty excited to hit this milestone, man, of that 1,000 subscribers. And this show is my priority, and but my YouTube channel is also a good love of mine. So I like doing both, man. Yeah, absolutely.
Where can people find you, man?
Danny Pena, BMX Racing on YouTube. I love doing BMX magazine reviews, race reviews, all BMX content all the time, and I do so much magazine reviews and BMX video reviews. It makes it way easier to interview people because all the stuff is fresh in my mind, man. I keep going.
Dude, you're man. Oh, if anybody stuck with us for this 3 hours, right? Now you know, if you go and check out Danny's channel, you're gonna know why he had all those cool answers and cool questions. Because he goes through these magazines like crazy. Thank you very much, Danny.
No problem, dude.
So I updated the website. We got some merch on there. The hats, the shirt.
And, yo, Kevin, that hat is getting a lot of positive feedback.
Yes.
That merch? Yeah, man. People are loving it. I'm hearing people saying a lot of cool things, and I shared it on my Facebook page, and people were digging it. And I'm like, let's go.
Yep. So This hat and this shirt will be on probably in about a week. We're working on making some stuff, so they'll be dropping in about a week. But you can grab some other stuff in the meantime at BMXPERTS Podcast.com. I learned yesterday that Danny's never been on the website, but he has now.
I've been on it several times now.
I put him on the website, his pictures on the website, so now he can go on.
Yeah. It's weird, dude, that I never realized I didn't really go on it because I see the stuff all the time. And so I'm like, wait a minute, I haven't even been on that site. And I went on there and checked it out, and it was really, really well laid out, man. Your son did a great job on that. Yeah.
And the third time after you got the right URL, you liked it.
Absolutely, dude.
Okay, guys, okay, Danny, I appreciate it, man. And until next week, the track is closed.
Track is closed.
Let's go. Come on.